Hello, hello, hello! Welcome in, everybody. How we doing? Welcome in. We got Gria, we got Anna, we got Prim. Hi, Prim. How we doing? I love my streamer. Oh my god, I love Prim Rosarin. Got Demona, got Nina. How we all doing? Welcome in, everybody. Bobble, bobble, bobble. Got Whoops. Can't forget Whoops. Welcome in, everyone. How we're doing? We're doing a new thing today. We're doing a new thing. I don't know. I was up for a I was up very late last night prepping for today. Didn't even take a lot of time to prep. Mostly just me stressing about it, just because it's a new idea that I'm doing, and yeah, I'm nervous about it. I mean, it's nothing like stressful or anything. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm stressing. I'm sorry. I've just never done this type of content before, so I don't know how to do it. And I want to turn it into a video, so I don't know. Anyways. I'm stressing for you, Elia. It'll be fine. Yeah. You're doing fan-frickin-tastic, and you? I'm doing pretty good. Just, a wee bit tired, but it's fine. It's fine. We need I need the energy to be up today. Those RR and Mike for an hour. Oh shit, you got me. You got me. I've been exposed. My whole plan. Oh no. But yeah. So today we are doing Lightning God Learns How the World Works. So a while ago, like forever ago, I can't even remember who said it or where I saw it, but basically I saw a quote that said, if you were teleported back in time, like a medieval era or whatever, only like less than 1% of the population would be able to make any sort of technological difference in a previous era. And I realized, I am most definitely in that 1%. I am most definitely in that 1%. I don't know how hardly anything works. I don't know how shit works. He burned as a witch at 10,000%. If Echoes, treats, check posture, and hydrate. Yeah, I did all that. No problem. No worries, Nina. I'm already on it. I'm on it. Much appreciated, though. Because I do usually forget. But yeah. So yeah, only less than 1% of people would be able to make any sort of technological difference, because no one knows how things work, how the things they use in their everyday lives work. So that is kind of what we're working on, or we're not working on, but that is what we're learning about today. It's an educational stream. How does Wi-Fi work, though? That is a good question, and I should put that on the list. Or Bluetooth? Damn. Exactly. So yeah, just stuff like that. Stuff like that. I plan on turning this kind of into a series. Probably do this like once a month or once every other month or something. Not super often, but yeah, I want to turn this into a series, and then I plan on turning the highlights of the stream into a YouTube video. At least that is the plan. We'll see if it actually happens or not, because y'all know me. I say I want to make clips and YouTube videos, and then it never happens, so we'll see. Learning? I didn't come here to learn. Well, you're gonna learn anyways. So yeah, basically I pulled up I was thinking, and I was like, what, like, just around the house type stuff, do I use every single day that I don't actually know how it works? So yeah, I put together a bit of a list. We have 16 videos to go through. Some of them are a little bit longer, like 20 minutes, and others are really short, like 3 minutes. So yeah. It's probably going to be a bit of a shorter stream today, just a heads up. Probably like 2.5 hours, so not super long, but monitor is not a picture, it's just pixels changing colors. Exactly. I already graduated. I don't need to go back to school. I feel that. But yeah, so we're gonna be learning about like everyday stuff. I mean, some of them are not like household stuff, but you know, the stuff that I like. When I sat down and thought, how does that actually work? How does that actually work? I don't actually know how it works, and I'm curious. So yeah, we're gonna be learning today. How's it going, storyteller? Welcome in. But yeah, I plan on making a thread in the Discord, probably in the suggestions channel, of ideas. Like if anyone's like, I don't actually know how this thing works, but I use it every single day. Yeah, so you can put it in there. I will make it probably after the stream because I forgot to before stream. But yeah. Wait, learning. I gotta get the hell out of here. We're learning about how stuff works. Storyteller, we're learning about how stuff works. I plan on doing another version where we learn how stuff is made. We'll probably watch some like those old like how it's made videos or whatever. But today is just mostly learning about how it works. How things work. And not necessarily how they're made. Welcome in, Peaceful. How we doing? So yeah. Without further ado, let's move over to the full screen. And yeah, this is an amazing freeze frame, by the way, on this guy. This is from Technological Connections. This is from Technological Connections. Justine recommended this channel to me. Apparently, they're very they do a lot of really cool stuff. Isn't Bill Nye the Science Guy? No, it's not. But yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's pause. Let's stop the music, and yeah.
Welp, winter heating season
We're gonna
is
be
quickly
reacting
approaching in the northern hemisphere anyway, which means that many of us are firing up our heating systems for the first time in many months and hoping for the best. Have you ever wondered why your furnace makes the noises that it does, and how come it seems to work in distinct steps?
Okay, sorry, I should preface. I came up with this idea because y'all are gonna call me really fucking stupid because of this, but basically, my parents were out of town for like a week, and to save like on the electricity bill, my dad's like, hey, you like the house cold and your brother's never home, so I'm just gonna turn off the heater. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, that's fine. It's not winter anymore. It should be fine. As the week goes on, in the night, it got really fucking cold. And yeah, it got down to like 55 degrees in the house, and it was really fucking cold. So I went upstairs, tried to mess with the thermostat. I'm like, oh, surely I just press the set button, turn up the temperature, and then press set again. And I tried that, and a couple more days went by. I didn't notice any difference. My parents got home, and I'm like, hey, I tried to turn up the heat because it got really fucking cold, but I couldn't figure out how to do it because I never touched the thermostat. You know that classic like your dad saying, don't touch the thermostat. That's my household. My dad doesn't like anyone else touching the thermostat. So I've never used the thermostat. I've never used the thermostat. I wish I could just be 55 in my house. Mate, it sounds nice until you used to go to use the bathroom and the toilet seat is fucking freezing. It is freezing. I don't even know what that is. Oh, the thermostat? The thermostat is the thing that controls like the heater in your house. Like controls like the, yeah, how hot or cold your house is. At least here it is. Heated toilet seat? As if. Hope you know I've had my dorm room at 50 degrees for Jesus Christ. 55 in Celsius is, oh yeah, sorry. 55 in Fahrenheit, I should preface, yeah. I use a sweater if cold and AC if hot. Yeah, fair. But yeah, so I didn't know how to use a thermostat. Turns out, he just turned the whole thermostat off. There was a switch on the very bottom of the thing that you just turn, it just goes to off. And I didn't even know that existed. So yeah. But yeah, that got me thinking that night after that got home. I'm like, And I remember that quote about the whole 1%, not only 1% of people being able to make any sort of technological difference if they got teleported back in time. Yeah. I woke up like really early in the morning, like, now at least I know how the thermostat works. And I'm like, wait, I don't actually know how the heater itself works. How does the heater heat the house? Like, I understand like the gist of it. It just blows hot air through the vents, but it's like, how does it heat the air? How does it like circulate it? And then it got me thinking about this stream idea about learning about how stuff works. Hey Eden, how's it going? I was friends from Australia, so I'm used to creating it for her. Let's say I'm not American enough, but I felt I've saying. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is probably a little bit more like US edition, and it probably doesn't work as well for other countries, so I apologize, Nina. But yeah. Thing you're on at the moment. How goes the stream? It's going good. We're just getting started. We're learning out We're learning how heaters work, or furnaces. We're learning how the furnace works. This is the longest video on the list, by the way. It's 22 minutes. I might like increase the speed a little bit. Let's see your playback speed. Let's go to like 1.25.
Heat exchanger. Why?
Okay. But yeah, we're learning stuff. I'm learning how to speak a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to get more into like reaction style content, so I figured that this is the perfect opportunity to do it. This freeze frame, I know, right? It's great. It's great. Need 8 cobblestone and crafting table. You need some fuel to cook your chicken. Shit, you're right, Eden. See, Eden just needs to teach us how this stuff works. How most things work. There are small people and gadgets doing everything. Absolutely. Welcome in, Richard. How we doing? How we doing? Flareon plush from Walmart today. Oh, I'm sorry, Devoto, but that sounds cute. Flareon, if I remember what that is, which Pokemon that is, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Then back in time, make a technological advance so fast. Exactly. You're bored right now? Well, good for you, Richard, because we're learning about stuff today. We're learning about stuff. Fire Eevee. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was. Yeah, gotcha. I'm absolute smartiest. Absolutely. Eden is the smartiest out of all of us. But yeah, so I'm gonna try not to pause too terribly often. Oh, also, I forgot.
Head pets. Head pets.
Thank you for the head pets. Thank you for the head pets. Learning. Fuck. As smart as Eden, right? What? But yeah, so but first off, I wanted to, before we actually learn how it works, I want to try and explain how I think it works, and then we'll see if I'm actually right or not. We'll see if I'm cooked. We'll see how stupid I am. So, how I think a furnace works. It takes in outside air, not necessarily outside air, but just air throughout the house. Because I know there's heater vents in your house, and then there's cold air returns. So I'm pretty sure it pulls air from the cold air return, which cold air returns are always in the bottom and heater vents are usually at the top. So it pulls the cold air from like around the floor through the cold air return. It pulls that down into the furnace. It puts it up through, I don't know, like it heats like metal or something, and then it blows the air past it, and it heats up the air, and then it sends it out through vents that take it out to the heater vents. That's how I think it works. So yeah, we'll see how cooked I am. We'll see if I'm right or if I'm horrible. Household furnace. Yes, sorry, household furnace. Most of the stuff is like household stuff. Like stuff you use like every single day, but you don't actually know how it works. So let's see, let's do a poll. I'll do this first one, but if Gria or Peaceful, if you want to do the polls after this, you basically just rerun the same poll. Does Bob know how it works? Yes. He's smart. No. He's cooked. Okay. Start poll. Okay. So yeah. I have to go into talking about responsibility. Totally. Boilers use water, furnaces use air, I believe. Yeah. I think I have a water heater on here on one of the later videos, but I believe in my lightning god. So yeah, based on the explanation I gave, is that correct? Let's see if that's correct. All right, so now let's go ahead and watch the video.
Why do I need to be worried about carbon monoxide poisoning? Why do we use furnaces at all? Great questions, so great that I'm making a video to answer them.
Thank you, sir.
First,
I appreciate it.
We're talking about the typical forced air gas-fired North American heating system in this video because that's what's common where I live and what I have access to.
This is a lot like how my furnace looks.
Small to medium-sized building constructed in the last half century or so in a
That's also how my water heater looks.
One of these providing it with heat. If you're used to a heating system with a central boiler and radiators, well, this ain't that. Those aren't exactly rare in North America, but are typically limited to older buildings that were constructed before we became addicted to air conditioning. Ever since central air conditioning became common, we've settled on ducted systems like this, where a furnace acts as both the heat source for winter months and air handler for the air conditioner in the summer months.
Yeah, I don't have an AC. I have a swamp cooler.
What the basic job of the furnace is. You might say, well, obviously, it's to provide heat.
This is 1.25 speed, so this isn't even 1.5.
But more specifically, its job is to safely release as much of the heat energy
contained
in a combustible fuel that it can into the living space and distribute it with the aid of a blower fan and ductwork.
Why is there fire?
The furnace is designed around safety, and its sequence of operations is performed specifically to prove the integrity and functionality of each of its components before it allows.
I'm looking at this and I'm just like, if I were to touch any of this, I would be afraid of exploding. Where do you think the heat comes from? Yeah, I guess that's fair. You've been using 2x speed so much recently. Yeah. I tend to watch a lot of videos on 2x speed as well. I just didn't realize it just blows fucking fire. Just out. Like, I figured it'd be more contained. Like, the fact that you could just look and just see flame. I didn't realize that's, yeah. Oh, okay, there's the poll results. Yes, he's smart. Okay, we think I got it right. Unironically, I think you would electrocute yourself. Yeah, like I'm just looking at like this box thing. I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, I have changed the filter though. I do know how to change the filter. Polls or predictions? Oh, I always forget about predictions. What do you think would be better? Polls or predictions? I mean, that way people can like gamba. Yeah, gamba their channel points. Could probably do predictions then. Could probably do predictions. We'll start predictions on the next one. So yeah, we'll start with the next one. Okay.
Itself to run. If it fails its own tests, it locks itself out.
Please, I'm so close.
Your local HVAC company. Better that than be dead. We'll go
wait, what? Wait, what?
You'll need to call your before it allows itself to run. If it fails its own tests, it locks itself out, and you'll need to call your local HVAC company. Better that than be dead. We'll
Jesus.
go over that sequence of operations as well as the components themselves shortly, but first, let's discuss why we use these things. These seem to invite a sort of bafflement in those who
also, how's the volume, by the way? Let me know if the volume it's like too loud or too quiet.
Live in North America. If a boiler is what you're used to, well, that makes sense. But quite often, I've run across folks who seem to think our furnaces are somehow inefficient machines. Not at all. These are incredibly efficient. This particular furnace is able to capture 96% of the heat energy in a fuel. That's excellent, but some models get even more than that. Hi, it's me from the future with an embarrassing correction. So we're about to talk about the AFUE, or AFU, which stands for Annual Fuel Utilization Efficiency. And for this furnace, it's 95, not 96. I had countless opportunities to look at this label before now. Alas, I took none of them, and my memory failed me. So for the rest of this video, if I say 96, I probably meant 95. Anyway, back to the
to be fair, you're only 1% off, bud. You did good. I don't fault him for being 1% off.
It's measured as a more or less yearly average to help account for the differences in efficiency at startup and shutdown. During a steady
Give it a posture check.
Slightly higher. Being able to get 96% of the heat energy available in a fuel into the living space is tremendous, but even the worst natural gas furnaces on the market have at least an AFU of 80. A long time ago, I made a video specifically about the rationale behind burning fuel for space heating, but this is essentially it. Furnaces excel at burning fuel and capturing nearly everything we can from it. That said, they're probably, and hopefully, on their way out as we move towards electrification. Now, we don't typically use electric resistive heating to heat entire homes because while electric heat is itself 100% efficient, electrical generation
That's a lot of kilowatts.
And even if it were, the electrical requirements of resistive heat aren't practical on a large scale. But heat pumps are able to turn this math on its head. Since heat pumps, which are basically just air conditioners running in reverse, can move much more energy than they themselves consume, they're undoubtedly the future of home
Electric
space
heat is expensive as
Even
fuck.
right
Yeah,
now,
sounds
without
like it.
avoiding fossil grid, they result in fewer carbon
Okay, I was just giving
emissions than
misinformation,
fuel
damn.
because their efficiency can approach 500%, more than accounting for the losses in generation. But we'll save that topic and its current challenges for a video in the, I promise, not too distant future. For now, though, back to this. One of the things we've learned over the years as we've embarked on this human endeavor is that burning things is unpleasant. Burning pretty much any fuel, including the so-called clean-burning natural gas, produces particulate matter which isn't great to breathe. And of course, there's the much more immediately deadly combustion byproduct carbon monoxide, which, through evolutionary bad luck, is much more appealing to your red blood cells than oxygen, which is bad. So generally, we shouldn't burn things indoors. And yet, here's a device which burns things indoors.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this. Like up here, you see like the flames. Like, why is that just open? There's like cables like right next to it. I guess it's blowing the flames like out into the machine instead of like out towards the edge. So I guess it's not blowing the flames towards these cables, but I don't know. Still, it's just weird that this is just completely exposed.
But this particular furnace is a condensing furnace, and thanks to these two pipes here, the combustion of the fuel sort of happens outside. But more on that later. You may also know of a certain other device which does burn fuel indoors without ventilation, the common stovetop and
Remember the triangle for fire? Like oxygen, fuel, and what's the third one? I don't remember the third one. Fire and flames, we carry on. Gotta get hot. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I guess if it was enclosed, it wouldn't be able to. Yeah. What's the third one? O2, fuel, and a spark. Oh, okay, so I was thinking spark. I'm a spark. Oxygen, heat, and fuel. Gotcha. I got two of them.
oven, and research is beginning to suggest that maybe this isn't so great either. But there is the small saving grace that the quantities of fuel burned for cooking are generally small fractions of that which a furnace uses, and also there are ways to mitigate this through ventilation, but I digress. Anyway, a furnace like this needs to burn its heating fuel, and then it has a bit of an exhausting job ahead of itself. Exhausting. We want the byproducts of the combustion process to make their way outside, where they'll only be problematic
Blue flame so much, right?
A decade or two. But of course, we want to be able to extract the heat generated by the combustion process and
song
release that into
isn't it a Dragon Force song?
We can do that with a heat exchanger. In a typical furnace, this takes the form of a series of tubes. Actually, though, the heat exchanger in a standard 80-plus furnace is simply some number of typically U-shaped steel tubes. You might call them U-tubes. The fuel is burned inside these tubes, which of course makes them get pretty freaking hot. Those tubes then are put in the path of air being forced through the furnace with the aid of a blower motor, and that air keeps the heat exchanger from melting by cooling the tubes down, which also incidentally heats the air. That's a nice bonus. The practical upshot of this is that the heat from the fuel gets released into the air flowing through the furnace and eventually out of the vents which heat your home, but the combustion byproducts stay separated inside those tubes. And of course, we need those byproducts to go away somehow. And also, hang on, You need oxygen to burn fuels, and the burning of the fuel consumes that oxygen. So you're going to need a way to supply those tubes with fresh air in addition to getting rid of the byproducts. Aha! Well, now we're getting into the more practical and safety bits of the furnace. If you've ever lived with a furnace like this, you'll likely have noticed that there are two blower motors. There's the big one that makes air come out of your registers, but before that one comes on, you hear another one. What's that for? Well, that's arguably the most important part of the furnace. This blower is called the draft inducer, and really it's more of a sucker. It pulls air, and later other fun gases, through the heat exchanger. In other words, it induces a draft. That air then gets pushed up through
makes it feel even dumber than usual.
Or, as is the case here, it exits through this PVC pipe. The draft inducer lives on the exit side of the heat exchanger, so it pulls air through the tubes, and what lives on the other side of those tubes are the flamethrowers. Now we're getting to the Bernie business. If we're burning a fuel,
arson,
it's got to come from
my
somewhere.
favorite.
And where it comes from is deep underground, having been trapped there for millennia before we extracted it. But as far as your furnace is concerned, it comes from the burners. These are essentially just specialized nozzles which release some amount of gas into the heat exchanger's tubes. Thanks to the constant supply of fresh air brought about by the draft inducer, it will burn quite nicely. The draft inducer ensures not only that there is fresh air for burning, but also that what comes out the other side of the heat exchanger tubes doesn't make it into the living space and is instead safely expelled out.
Does your model change its color sometimes, or is color fucking my brain? So I have a thing, it's called adaptive lighting. Basically, it's changing like how dark or light my model is based on what is showing on the screen. So I used to use this all the time, but I realized that depending on the game I'm playing, it can make me lag. So I don't use it as much anymore. But yeah, it's adaptive lighting, basically.
Outdoors. Because this device deals with the frankly dangerous combination of combustible fuels and enclosed spaces, it's designed with a number of safety interlocks and sequence of operations to ensure things don't go too terribly wrong. But before we get into that, I know this is the second, but before we get into that, apologies, let's discuss the condensing part of this furnace. When you burn a fuel like natural gas, one of the byproducts is water vapor. A standard 80+ furnace doesn't really know what to make of that, so sends it out with the carbon monoxide and other icky stuff. But that water vapor is hot, and more importantly, holds energy in the form of latent heat. When it condenses into a liquid, as it will inevitably do, that's all the steam you see coming from the rooftops of homes in the dead of winter, it releases that energy. But that's no good if it's just happening outside. If we could make it condense inside, we'd be able to get more energy out of the heating fuel. And so a condensing furnace has what is essentially a second heat exchanger after the main fire tubes, with a greater surface area that can cool the exhaust gases further, which helps get more heat out of the fuel all by itself. But more importantly, it gets most of the water vapor to condense and release its latent heat inside the furnace.
But I don't hear him. It doesn't make sense. All right, I'm kind of in the same mindset here.
Is able to get 96% of the energy available in the fuel into the home, and it's also how it's able to exhaust through a PVC pipe. I mean, think about this. It's burning flammable gas. There's literal fire inside of it, and it outputs 70,000 BTUs, or about 20 kilowatts of heat. And yet, it loses so little of that heat in the exhaust that it can safely exit through a plastic pipe, which barely gets warm at all. Compare that to an 80+ furnace with a steel exhaust chimney that gets so hot you can't even touch it, and you'll understand why condensing furnaces are a big deal and a great idea. A condensing furnace is a little more complicated, of course, than a conventional one. Most of that has to do with the fact that dealing with the condensate isn't the easiest task. For one, well, now you have to deal with it when previously you didn't. This furnace has a drain pipe on its side for that very reason, but also, that water isn't just plain water. It's pretty acidic thanks to other combustion byproducts, so the secondary heat exchanger needs to be made of materials, such as stainless steel, which resist corrosion. This adds somewhat to the cost of the furnace, but getting an extra 10 or 15% of the energy out of your heating fuel makes it, to my mind, obviously worth it, and we absolutely should find ways to help subsidize the added cost for those who need financial assistance, because in the long run...
So funny story, that water that comes out of your furnace, my furnace has like a pump, like sits on the side, and it pumps it through like this big plastic tube and out like to the the drain pipe where like our washing machine like dumps all of its water into. This has happened a couple times throughout the 26 years that we've lived in this house. The pump will just die. And when the pump dies, it no longer pumps the water out. So the water just collects in that pump and then overflows. And yeah. We don't notice it because it's not a lot of water, and so it just slowly seeps all over the place. And then it's not until someone goes in there and steps in a puddle of water like, oh shit, the pump died. So, yeah, very acidic problem. I've never noticed it being acidic, but I also didn't even know it was acidic, and I should probably tell my dad that, because occasionally he takes some of that water and uses it to like water his plants, because he's like, oh yeah, it won't have all of the minerals and whatever that the tap water has in it, because my house is very hard water, which means it has a lot of minerals in it. Yeah, I should probably let him know about that apparently this water is acidic. And he should probably stop watering his plants with it. That would explain why his plants have been dying a lot ever since he brought them home. Yeah, I should let him know about that.
It will always save money and resources. That's frankly a no-brainer at this point. Oh, and that other pipe there? Well, here's another way to get an increase in efficiency. This furnace gets its oxygen supply from outside. This pipe is simply supplying the combustion section with outside air. In fact, you can see that it just opens to this space, and the other end is outside. Why do that? Well, a conventional furnace gets its combustion air from the room it's sitting in. That means it creates negative pressure whenever the draft inducer is running, and that brings in some amount of cold outside air to replace what leaves through the exhaust. In contrast, this supply pipe, along with the seals in this panel, makes it so that the combustion section of the furnace is essentially entirely outdoors, creating no negative pressure at all. Of course, particularly right now in the human
I know a lot about negative pressure.
That we really ought to have a little more exchange of air than we do. Most of our efficiency-first building practices came about thanks to the energy crises of the 70s, and we've been living in mostly sealed boxes, which it turns out isn't super great, and not just because of respiratory disease pandemics. Simple buildup of carbon dioxide from our exhalation can be hazardous, so some amount of negative pressure is probably a good thing, and this topic deserves more attention and study. But anyway, let's finally bring it back to the start with one of the questions I asked. Why does the furnace seem to do things in distinct steps? Well, that's all about that safety. There really aren't that many components in a basic household furnace,
safety.
Just the draft inducer, heat exchanger, main blower, an igniter, and a gas valve. But we absolutely need to make sure everything is in working order before we go let some flammable gas out of a pipe. And to do that, we rely on a few sensors and a sequence of operations. Since this furnace is quite modern, we have a circuit board
This is for babies.
handling everything.
Safety is for the living.
Same things have been happening in forced air furnaces for decades. When the thermostat calls for heat, the sequence of operations begins by turning on the draft inducer. Now, this component absolutely must be functioning properly for the safe operation of the furnace. If it opened the gas valve without airflow through the heat exchanger, it could be a disaster. So, to prove that the inducer is actually functional, the circuit board looks for the output from this pressure switch to change. If it did, that means there was a change in air pressure where the switch is located, which would only occur if the draft inducer was working. Looking for a change
is absolutely
in
the
output
babysitter.
also allows the furnace
100%.
to detect a stuck switch and refuse to operate. Once the operation of the draft inducer has been proven, there will be a pre-programmed delay period to ensure no unburnt gases remain in the heat exchanger. Assuming the furnace shut down correctly, there shouldn't be any, but better safe than sorry. While that delay is happening, this furnace sends power to the hot surface igniter. This is an igniter that ignites the fuel by being a surface which is hot. An alternative method of ignition is a sparky thing, but that seems to have gone out of fashion for some reason. Anyway, because it takes a while for the hot surface igniter to become hot enough that its surface can ignite things, the delay period for clearing the heat exchanger is a perfect time to warm it up. Next comes the opening of the gas valve. This is a very time-sensitive step because natural gas and propane, which is actually what fuels this furnace,
Learning today, absolutely.
Can be explosive. We don't
Welcome
want
in,
that,
Caesar.
so we need a way to know that the fuel has actually
Also,
ignited.
I'm sorry, I just like this is the type of guy that just looks like he looks like he's smart. Like, I mean, obviously, like, just, you know, the tweed jacket. I don't know. His hairstyle, I don't know. He just looks like the type of guy to be smart.
Chug.
Thank you for the hydrate, Nina. Yeah, he just looks smart.
And isn't just being dumped into the heat exchanger unburnt, where it could potentially go boom.
Have a budget Bill Nye.
We just use a thermocouple as a flame sensor to detect a rapid rise in heat brought about by flames. And this is done quite cleverly. This furnace, like most, has multiple burners arranged linearly. The hot surface
Making
igniter
hour-long
lives here
rants on
next to the
random
rightmost
tidbits,
burner.
right?
The burners are designed so that a flame will quickly propagate from each one to the next, and assuming nothing's wrong with them and that the fuel supply is adequate, this should occur essentially instantly. And so, to determine that ignition happened correctly, the flame sensor is placed at the burner that's farthest away from the igniter. It will thus only register a flame when all burners have successfully ignited. When the furnace opens the gas valve, it looks for a rapid rise in temperature from that sensor, and it should see it right away. If it doesn't, usually within just 2 seconds, it closes the gas valve and aborts its mission. This checking for flame step is so quick because if any of the burners fail to ignite right away, they'll be pumping unburnt fuel into the heat exchanger. If that's allowed to happen for more than just a couple of seconds, a dangerous quantity of fuel may now exist in the heat exchanger, which, if it were to ignite, would be likely to damage it. And that's
explode,
very bad and
right?
also dangerous. So, if it doesn't see flames right away, that gas valve is closed again and the draft inducer remains running to clear the unburnt fuel from the heat exchanger. After a pre-programmed period of time, the furnace will make another ignition attempt. And after a certain number of failed attempts, it's 5 in the case of this furnace, the system locks itself out and no heat for you. At least for about an hour. This furnace and many others will try again later because there can be all sorts of reasons for a failed ignition event, including temporary loss of gas pressure, so it does self-reset to keep your pipes from freezing if it can help it. So long as the flame sensor sensed flames, though, the logic board then gives the all clear for the next step, which is to wait a little bit. Rather than start the blower motor right away and give you a nice blast of cold air, the furnace will simply sit pretty and allow the heat exchanger to get a little hot before it switches on the blower. But once it does that,
burning and filling the room,
now you have gas coming from your heat vents. When the thermostat is satisfied,
Who came up with this exactly?
The gas valve closes, extinguishing the flames, and the inducer fan remains running for 30 seconds or so to make sure all the remaining exhaust is replaced by fresh air. At the same time, the blower motor keeps running to cool off the heat exchanger and, of course, get the rest of the heat out of it. But after about a minute,
the 1%.
It shuts down completely and patiently waits for the next call for heat. Now, there's going to be at least one other safety device in the furnace too, and that would be a limit switch. This is a switch which trips at a certain temperature, and it's designed to protect against overheating. If for some reason the blower motor stopped working,
wire plus wire because it goes warm,
the heat exchanger will overheat before too long because it doesn't have enough airflow to cool itself down. So that limit switch is there to detect such a scenario and shut down the furnace if it occurs. So there's clearly a lot of safety built into your typical furnace and some clever ingenuity too. But there's one thing it generally won't guard.
Not the 1% that took it from the smart people. I'm talking, so when I say the 1%, I mean, I'm referencing the quote I said at the beginning. I don't know, you might not have been here for it, Richard. I'll say it again. So if people were teleported back in time, if someone was teleported back in time to like the medieval era, only about 1% of the population of modern day population, or less than 1%, would be able to make any sort of technological difference if they were teleported back in time. Because in the modern era, no one knows, like 99% of the people living the modern era don't know how the stuff they use works or how to build it. They wouldn't be able to replicate it, basically. So when I say the 1%, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Guard you from, and that's carbon monoxide poisoning. If everything is in working order, that shouldn't be possible, but, well, whenever you burn fuel, there's a risk of carbon monoxide. Furnaces can be particularly tricky because the heat exchanger wears out with time. Going from room temperature to having fire inside of it and back a dozen times per day for 15 years is hard on it, and over time, imperfections can form from this thermal stress. The most dangerous kind is a crack in the heat exchanger's tubes, which can allow exhaust gases, and thus carbon monoxide, to exit the heat exchanger and make it into the living space. This is why it is vitally important that you have carbon monoxide alarms in your living spaces, and especially in your bedrooms. Carbon monoxide poisoning is a rare thing, but an alarm is the only thing that can guard you against it. Annual furnace inspections by a trained technician may be able to catch problems before they become dangerous, but accessing the heat exchanger for a thorough inspection can be difficult, and might not be performed in your typical pre-season tune-up special. So please, if your home is heated by combusting fuel, even if it's not a forced air furnace, but instead something like a boiler, or indeed, even if fuel is burned anywhere in your home for cooking or water heating or anything, invest in carbon monoxide alarms and test them regularly. They may just save your life. So that's how your typical North American gas-fired forced air furnace works. It's really pretty simple, but thanks to modern technology, quite efficient too. On that note, condensing heat exchangers aren't limited by any means to forced air furnaces. Boilers can take advantage of this tech, even water heaters. So long as natural gas or other fuel combustion remains a prominent form of space and water heating, we really ought to do it as efficiently as we can. However, as we move headfirst into this decade, we'll undoubtedly start to see natural gas become phased out in more and more places. In areas with mild heating needs, heat pumps are already viable with little more investment than an air conditioner. And for colder climates like mine, geothermal heat pump systems are available and are dropping in price fast. But we'll get into those weeds maybe in a month or two, perhaps 3. It will be this heating season. I've got a thermal camera now, and there's a reversible mini split in the garage, so no excuses. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye! Cool. Okay, so I don't know. Would you say that I was kind of close with my explanation earlier? Would you say I was close? And got furnaces here in Texas. I don't think you need furnaces there in Texas. Witch burning, I'd say Americans either, but the Incas didn't care if you did witchcraft, you're getting scalped. Oof. Someone in 1219 comes see you saying, okay, I'm a 2D picture talking to a light square and people pay for internet. 60-70% correct? No, was there for fairly accurate? I mean, yeah, heats up, so pulls in cold air, heats it up, sends it out. I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. I didn't know that it used fire, but I guess it makes sense now that you think, like, now that we know how it works, it makes sense, kinda. I mean, I'm dumb, so I still fully don't understand it, but I'm not going into this fully to, like, being able to, like, take apart my furnace and then put it back together again. I'm just here to understand the general concept. The general concept. That is what we're going for. I'd argue not knowing it uses fire as a vital component of a furnace. I mean, I didn't know how it heated it. I just know that it heated it. And I guess fire would be, yeah, the obvious choice. Our stream opening floor to see how pipes work. I did pull apart my entire drain system on our tub this last week, so that was fun. It's great. But yeah, I feel like I kind of got the, yeah, I think we got the gist of it. Always furnaces, radiators are also a common heating system in earlier ages. Yeah, fair. Watching to make sure your dad ain't wearing his plants with acid. Yeah, you're right. I should let him know about that. Important takeaways, right? Came here to learn about furnaces, left with knowing not to water plants with the water that comes out of them. Oh boy. All right, next video. All right, this one is gas water heaters. So much fun, right? So yeah, water heaters. I also have a funny story about a water heater. Also, let me get off this white screen, just so that I can not be completely blown out. Get flashbang. Chose heat as his concept. I mean, when you think of like the air heater, like the water heater is like right next to it. So if you think of one, you kind of also just think of the other. Cooking with this one. Okay, so water, so fun. Thank you for the foster check, Nina. Appreciate it. Oh, my shoulder popped with that one. Jesus. Electric water heater. I'm pretty sure mine is gas. Yeah, mine is gas. So yeah, mine's gas. So we're learning about gas ones. But yeah, so not so fun story, and this has happened on 3 different occasions. Our old water heater, the pressure valve on it, which we'll learn about here in a second, the pressure valve stopped working, and basically it broke, so it was just always open. And we wouldn't, well, not always open, but it would, like, occasionally when it would pop open, it just wouldn't close again. So all of the water would just dump. All of the water would just dump out. So yeah, our basement got flooded 3 different times in the span of 1 year. So that was fun to clean up. We no longer have carpet in our basement because of that. Yeah, so it's great. Great. How long for submissions for predictions? Probably like 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Because especially with these shorter videos, like this one's only 8 minutes. Some of these other ones are like 6, 4, 3. 3, 8, 6, 9, yeah, stuff like that. They're not super long. So yeah, only do like 2 minutes for predictions. Like, or whatever the, like 1 or 2 minutes, somewhere in there. Depends on most northern states use gas for heat due to electricity not always working in cold climates. Yeah, fair. Yeah, so how does a gas, or how does a water heater work? I don't know if I actually, so, fire heats up the water, and it makes it hot. I need a better explanation than that, don't I? I'm guessing there's some sort of sensor that detects when the water is getting cold, and when it hits a certain temperature, it activates the heating element, which then heats up to the water to the set temperature. And then when you like are open a faucet or something, then you're getting hot water, it just pulls from there. I don't, I'm not actually sure how does it pull the water out? How does it pull the water out? Something to do with pressure, I assume. Thanks to you, I guess they're judging by the color of the grass. They use what they use gas heaters, so it's northern US. New meta just dropped. Get it while it's hot. I'll see myself out. Gas meta? Oh boy. I love that. I love that. So yeah, that's my prediction. That's how I think it works. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and start the prediction thing, we'll get started on the video. Let me back it up again.
Hi, I'm Vance, and welcome
Hello,
to Repair
Vance.
and Replace. Your water heater works hard to give you a steady supply of hot water. In this episode, we'll learn how gas water heaters work, and then we'll look at some of the differences between standing pilot and power vent models. Let's begin.
How it works. Okay, this is what we're here for.
A standard water heater burns gas to heat the water stored inside the insulated tank. When hot water is used, cold water enters through a dip tube and fills the bottom of the tank. The gas control valve uses a built-in thermostat to monitor the water temperature. When the thermostat senses the cold water, it opens up the main gas valve. Air is drawn from below the tank and mixes with the gas. The main burner ignites, and the exhaust fumes rise up through the flue vent. The burner continues to heat the water until the set temperature is reached.
Okay, so I wasn't too, yeah, that's basically what I said, right?
The temperature and pressure relief valve is by far the most important safety device in water heaters. If the pressure or temperature inside the tank gets too hot...
What are we watching now? We're watching water heaters. Also, did we start the prediction? Well, I don't know if it's any point, if we haven't, I don't know if there's any point in doing it now, because it's basically how it's done. Oh, that was quick. Oh. How fast? Wait, what? I didn't even see it. Holy shit, that was quick. Damn. I didn't even see it pop up. Fair enough. How long did you set it to? You told me to? Fair enough. Agree is on top of it. Wow, I didn't even notice it. Fair enough.
High, the relief valve will open and release water, preventing the tank from exploding.
Yep. This right here is what happened and flooded my basement. This exact thing.
Additionally, every water heater has a drain valve at the bottom, which can be used to flush the tank of sediment. If too much sediment builds up, it will act as an insulator.
Whoa, wait, what was that thing? What is this? Or is that just on this back pipe? Or is this on this back pipe, or is this a separate thing right here? Sediment? I don't know, just the way this is shaped, it makes it look like it's its own thing that's just sticking down.
It will act as an insulator, reducing the efficiency. This is why it's best to flush the tank once a year during regular maintenance.
Yeah,
Regardless of the tank,
I've totally flushed. We've totally flushed our water heater.
Corrosion and rust. The tank is coated with a thin glass lining.
Separate it
doesn't
seems.
always cover 100% of the tank. Also, the glass can become cracked, exposing more of the tank walls. On the top of the tank sits the anode rod. Like a lightning rod, the anode attracts the corrosive elements in the water, sacrificing itself to protect the tank.
Oh, so it is a separate
If
thing.
the anode dissolves completely, or if the rod is completely encased with calcium, then the corrosive elements will start attacking the exposed metal. Most anode rods will last 4 to 6 years, but this depends on the pH and purity of the water. This is why it's best to check the anode rod during regular maintenance. All water heaters have a relief valve, drain valve, and an anode rod, but ignition and venting is different in standing pilot and power vent models. Older homes will generally have a standing pilot water heater with an atmospheric vent. They use a small pilot flame that burns continuously, igniting the main burner when heat is needed. This is the standard design that has been used for decades and is easily identified by the metal exhaust pipe. Since it's the pressure from combustion that pushes the exhaust upwards, these heaters must be vented vertically. Any restriction in the airflow might cause backdrafting, which can extinguish the pilot flame. These tanks are generally replaced with newer...
I also know that, with ours, if it gets super, super windy, it can blow out the pilot flame and we have to restart it. So it's great waking up in the morning, you have to go to work early, and you wanted to take a shower really quick before work, and there's zero hot water because the pilot flame got extinguished because it was windy last night, and now all the water's cold. It's great.
Standing pilot models, since connecting to the existing vents keeps replacement costs low. Standing pilot water heaters will either use a conventional or an electronic gas valve. Conventional
our
gas
pipes
valves
freeze?
are
Yeah,
powered by
yeah.
a thermocouple. The thermocouple sits in the pilot flame and generates a small amount of electricity when heated, about 20 to 30 millivolts. This produces enough electricity to power the gas valve. The thermocouple also acts as a safety switch. If the pilot light goes out, then the thermocouple will cool down. The voltage will drop, and the gas valve will shut off. This prevents unburnt gas from being released into your home. Electronic valves require more power as they have additional circuitry and diagnostics. These valves are powered by a thermal pile, which is a pile of thermocouples bundled together. When heated by the pilot flame, thermopiles generate around 600 to 750 millivolts. Electronic valves will also flash an error code when something goes wrong, and these are often listed on the valve.
Okay.
Now, if the pilot isn't staying lit, then it's most likely a problem with the thermocouple or thermopile. Alternatively, it could be an issue with the thermal cutoff switch. The thermal switch protects against overheating. If the temperature in the combustion chamber gets too high, the thermal switch will trip and cut power to the valve. The thermocouple, thermopile, and thermal switch can all be tested, and you can learn more in the troubleshooting videos linked in the description. Unlike standing pilot heaters, power vent models don't rely on atmospheric pressure. Instead, they use a draft inducer blower to push the exhaust through the vent. This makes them useful in newly constructed homes as they can be placed virtually anywhere. When the thermostat detects cold water, the draft inducer pulls fresh air into the burner. The pressure switch then verifies that there's enough airflow for
It's
combustion.
messing with me more than the furnaces did.
Next, the hot
Yeah.
surface igniter heats up.
A lot of
and
fancy
ignites the
words in
burner.
here.
The flame sensor monitors the burner to confirm that there is a flame. The burner runs until the water in the tank reaches the set temperature. After the burner shuts off, the inducer will stay on for several minutes to purge the system of exhaust gases. Power vent water heaters are similar to high.
Also, I apologize. I didn't realize this video was going to be mostly about replacing and fixing problems.
Then the water heater will shut down. It will attempt ignition several times before going into a hard lockout. The water heater will use flashing lights as codes to describe the source of the error. It's best to check your manual to see what these codes mean. You can learn more in the videos linked in the description. Hopefully, this has given you a better understanding.
It looks like that's the end of the video anyways, so. Nice! Cool. Well, I feel like I basically explained how it worked. I feel like I explained it pretty well, right? I feel like I did pretty good. I feel like I did decent. Also, holy shit, this, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get through all of these videos. We're already an hour in, and that's only the second video, and I have 16. I mean, to be fair, not all of them are gonna be super long. I lost points. No. Nice. All right. Let's see. Let's move on to the next one. Next one is
how many of us really understand what.
Oh, I do have Wi-Fi in here. How Wi-Fi and cell phones work. Got 20 points. Let's go. All right. How does a cell phone work? I mean, Wi-Fi, it's basically the internet. I don't know. Internet comes in through a cable, hooks up to your router or modem. I don't know. What's the difference in a modem and a router? I don't actually know. I don't know what the difference is. Pretty sure it's a router though. Goes to your the magical Wi-Fi box. Goes to your router. And then you connect your computer, your device to the router. And then when it requests information, the router sends information via, it's not radio waves, it's some other type of wave to your to your device. I think. I don't know. I don't actually use Wi-Fi all that much. I mean, I guess I use it on my phone, but my computer is, I have an Ethernet cable. But brings signal in, the other converts it to something that can be used by other devices. Oh, I don't know. It's because I have a friend who's actually a cable guy and has specifically explained it to me. Fair enough. Fair enough. I sure there's a way for me to turn ads off. I guess I'll just sit here until the ads are over. Yeah. I won't say my explanation for cell phones yet. Wait, was that ads starting or was that ads ending? Ads ending? Oh no. Video on his YouTube channel about trying to fix the internet at the kennel. Nice. Hell yeah. Some song I forgot you have ads. Yeah. I mean, I feel like most of the people in here are either subbed or got gifted subs or something. I don't know. Hey, it's Nashi. Welcome in. We're learning how stuff works. It was an ad starting because I had an option to snooze. Ah, I see. I see. How's it going, Nashi? We're learning how stuff works. We're about to watch how Wi-Fi and cell phones work. Oh yeah. Okay, there's the ad break. Okay, minute and a half. Okay, we'll wait. I'll wait till the ads are over before I give my explanation of how I think they work. We'll do the prediction, and then we will watch the video. To work for Verizon? Hell yeah! Don't tell me though, because we're doing a thing where I explain how I think it works. People then we do a prediction. And you can bet channel points on whether you think I explained it right or if I explained it wrong. And then we watch the video that explains how it works. And then we decide afterwards if I think my explanation was good. So yeah, that is the cycle we're going through. I'm gonna quiz y'all on this. The Nashi quiz. I'll vote with Nashi votes. I'm always go against you. I feel like I've done a decent job of explaining how things work so far. Done all right so far. I'm gonna have to watch MHA 10 times in a row. Oh no. All right. Okay, I think that's the ads over. Okay, so I explained how I think Wi-Fi works. Cell phones. Basically, you are input, like when you say you're texting someone. You're texting someone. When you type, you're basically inputting instructions that your phone then sends out as data up to like a satellite, and then it sends it from that satellite down to the other person's. I mean, obviously it doesn't send it straight to their device. It goes through like the cell tower and then to your phone or whatever. But yeah, it sends it basically it sends it to a cell tower, up to a satellite, down to a cell tower, to the other person's device. That's how I think texting works. As for the rest of the cell phone, it just works like another, just a computer. I don't want to explain all that though. So yeah, that's how I think cell phones work. So yeah, let's go ahead and if you want to set the prediction. Set the prediction. There we go, prediction started. Yeah, he explained it great. Bob, please. He cooked, or he is cooked. Send it to this time? Hell yeah. Yeah, what did you set it? What was it set to last time? Because this looks like it's set to, what, 2 minutes? Was it 1 minute last time? Told me a minute, so I put a minute. Gotcha. Okay, cool. I think the problem last time was I was just yapping too much, and I just didn't notice. I just didn't notice it. Oh, also, sorry, this video is by, oh, that's not what I meant to do. This video is from the Explained channel. Also, I'm very orange right now. Explained channel. The previous video was made by AMRE Supply. I figure I should probably, I'm gonna get off this orange screen real quick. There we go. It costs too much to pay attention. Bob is blue. I'd rather be blue than orange. Blue is my favorite color. To be fair, I do like orange. Orange is probably up there in my color list. Mostly because blue and orange just look really good together. I forget, do you know if you're blue, that usually means you're asphyxiating. So it's probably not great to be blue, whereas orange usually just means you have a bad spray tan. Anyways, about purple? Purple usually means you're like bruising. It means you're injured. Pink? Pink means you're I think pink/red means you're flushed. So you're either embarrassed, or you are angry, or you are horny. Anyways, let's see how cell phones work.
Goes on when you text your friend across the ocean and they get the ping almost instantaneously. Allow me to entertain you with a little thought experiment. When you press send on your favorite messaging app, where's your message really going? Into the air, you'd say, like radio waves. But let's back up a bit. When you press send on a messaging app such as WhatsApp, you're essentially sending instructions to your mobile processor via tiny copper wires on a printed circuit board inside of your smartphone. Now, these instructions are essentially electrical impulses, right? And electrical impulses are just electrons flowing along the potential difference.
Why is this guy talking so fast?
How exactly does your message jump into thin air from being electron flows?
Now it just sounds really slow. What the fuck?
At one stage, you had a circuit board that you could touch and feel and even smell. And then suddenly you have radio waves in the invisible part of the spectrum flying away.
I mean, I think the term is African American, but sorry, that was a bad joke. I apologize. I'm sorry. That was a dumb joke. I apologize. Yeah. As an African American allowed? Okay, I have to go ahead. I'm sorry. I should refrain from jokes like that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize that it would stay at 1.25 like across videos. I thought when I changed videos it would reset. But yeah, no, Gri is right. Black is usually like frostbitten. If your limbs are black, seek medical attention. Okay, if your limbs are black and they're not usually, seek medical attention. I need to shut the fuck up. We'll continue watching the video.
Incredible speeds. What's in between? Well, an odd-looking device. It's an antenna, which roughly translates to a pole in Latin. An antenna is
Nasty. Whoa, what is going on?
Metal tongue.
Why am I green? What is going on? Oh, I have my my green screen filter on. What is going on? Oh no, where's my model? I always forget to turn this filter off. There we go. Bob is green, seek medical attention. Oh dear. Someone clip that. Yes, please somebody clip that. I just look over and I'm just fucking transparent. Oh no. Anyways.
Voodoo device that swallows electrical impulses and spits
I need to back the video up. I'm sorry, I was not paying attention.
Speeds. What's in between? Well, an odd-looking device. It's an antenna, which roughly translates to a pole in Latin. An antenna is a metal-tongued voodoo device that swallows electrical impulses and spits out radio waves. It's as silent as the dead, but its screams can be heard for miles. Specifically, a Wi-Fi antenna like the one here in the picture screams at 2.4 gigahertz, that's more than 2 billion beats per second, and spits out waves of roughly 12.5 centimeters in length. Unlike visible light, these waves can pass through certain materials and even bend around corners. But how does an antenna produce radio waves? Before we answer this question, let's take a small detour.
What's a gigahertz?
Do you remember the reason buzz in pop science about
what is a gigahertz?
Waves?
What is a gigahertz? Here. What is a gigahertz? Unit of frequency equal to 1 billion hertz. It's a measure of the speed at which electronic components like CPU and a computer operate. Frequency? Sure. I know it's not, I don't think it's power. That's gigawatts. Yeah, power is gigawatts. Yeah, gigahertz, yeah, is like frequency. I have PTSD. Oh no, I'm sorry, Dashi.
Waves. They're basically fluctuations in gravitational field propagating as radiant energy. Einstein's general relativity predicted their existence many years ago, and we've only recently discovered them. Just like gravitational waves, electromagnetic waves are fluctuations in an electromagnetic field, propagating as radiant energy. And, not much unlike the story of gravitational waves...
What's a router? Yeah. Got me learning some ask questions. No problem. That's what we're here for. Feel free to ask questions.
The existence of invisible
I can't promise I can
electromagnetic
answer
waves
'em,
was
but-
predicted by Maxwell's equation, well before their discovery by Heinrich Hertz. So, to produce radio waves, you need to create fluctuations in the electromagnetic field. And to create those fluctuations, you need electrons moving around in a conductor. The act of radio wave synthesis is a carefully choreographed, rhythmic dance of electrons and tiny copper wires. Like perturbations in still water that radiate outward from the point of disturbance, the electron flows in an antenna cause perturbations in the electromagnetic field, which radiates out into space
What's the
as
meaning of
electromagnetic
life?
waves. When you press
can't
send
answer that
on
one,
your
buddy,
favorite
I'm sorry.
messaging app, your mobile operating system sets off a chain of events that ultimately encodes the message as a carefully choreographed electron dance. This dance results in rhythmic ebbs and flows in the electromagnetic field in the surrounding space, which radiates outwards towards a cell tower. The receiving antenna on the cell tower feels these ebbs and flows on its conducting surface, inducing an electron dance very similar to the one from the transmitter. This electron dance is again a set of electric impulses in tiny copper wires, which are decoded by the hardware at the cell tower. The decoded information is then carried on high throughput cables for thousands of miles across countries, continents, and even oceans, through transatlantic communication cables or some other submarine communication cables, to a cell tower near your friend across the ocean. From the tower to your friend's phone is another wireless jump, and finally, your friend hears the familiar ping. How does the phone know where the cell tower...
Wait, so it's not through satellites? It's through cables? I thought it was through satellites. Oh. Huh. Well, then I don't know if I can even call my explanation correct then. Because then then it's only half right. Yeah, my explanation's only half right. Well. The answer to life, the universe, and everything. There you go. It's 42. Said you were right. Yeah, I said that it used satellites. I thought it used satellites. I didn't realize it was underground cables that just connect across the fucking world, over the planet. Well, shit.
tower is. It doesn't, and it doesn't need to. Your phone broadcasts your message in all directions for anyone to listen to. But don't worry, your message will be encrypted, and only the cell tower can decode your message. How does the cell tower know that the message is from me, I hear you ask? With every message you transmit, you also include a code that uniquely identifies your device. That is how the cell tower knows that it's you. But how does the cell tower differentiate between messages from different phones? The phones all agree on a protocol to send messages to the tower at either different times, different frequencies, different locations, or using different codes. The best analogy I have for this is that of a classroom. Imagine it contains 100 students and just one teacher. Now if all the students start speaking at once, the teacher cannot understand any of them, so they agree on a protocol. If a student wants to speak, they raise their hand and wait for the teacher to point to them. If multiple students raise their hand at once, the teacher picks them out one by one so that only one student is speaking at any given time. In this case, the cell tower is the teacher and the devices are the students. While students can speak at different times to avoid interference, devices can speak at different times, different frequencies, or different codes to avoid interference. So you're telling me that the majority of the communication is not really wireless? Yes, unless you're using a satellite phone, wireless communication is only used for 2 steps along the road. Sender to tower 1 and tower 2 to receiver. The communication between the cell towers happens through ultra-high-speed communication cables underground. But aren't cables so out of fashion for the 21st century? Why not use wireless all the way? Well, the cables we're talking about here, like the transatlantic communication cables, are
That is a
definitely
hell of a
very
cable.
high-tech.
Oh
They
my
can carry
god.
terabytes of data every second and do not face the problem of interference nearly as much as their wireless counterpart. Also, you'll need a lot of satellites to carry
what did
as
that
much
thing
as their
say?
wireless.
Sharks like gnawing on submarine communication cables. Maybe they are attracted to EM waves. Maybe they're just curious. Interesting. Forbidden sushi. For real though. How the fuck did humans come with this? That's what I want to know. When World War I was going on, there was already cables running across the ocean floor. Damn. Those are some long ass cables. Holy shit.
This counterpart. Also, you'll need a lot of satellites to cater to billions of users and their data needs if you want to go wireless all the way. And launching satellites is a very expensive process. That's it for this episode of Tell Me Why. Go ahead and check out our other interesting videos.
Interesting. Well, I'd say I don't know. What do you guys think? I feel like my explanation was half correct, but it was also half incorrect. Like this is fun. I'm glad you're enjoying it, because this is something I want to do like once a month or like once every other month or something. Both? So correct? Or should we flip a coin? Should we flip a coin? Coin. Okay. Flip a coin. Okay. Heads is... Wait. Okay, I'm gonna flip it... Wait, yeah, I'll flip it again. Heads is... correct. Tails is wrong. Okay, here we go. Flip. Heads. Okay. We get points. Well, you guys get points. I don't get points. But yeah. Korea. Forbidden sushi. Damn.
Being stretched.
Thank you for the posture check.
Chug, 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 chug. Woo!
All of the redeems. Also, thank you for redeeming these in between videos. I appreciate it. Appreciated. Okay. OMG, my Oshi. Oh my god, it's Noelle Eclair. How's it going, Noelle? Thank you for the 900 bits, Richard. I appreciate it. Much appreciated. Welcome in, Noelle. We're learning about stuff today. We just learned how cell phones and Wi-Fi work. We just learned how cell phones and Wi-Fi work. The next one up is how does
Jake O'Neill.
Hi, Jake O'Neill. Yeah, we're learning how car engines work next. Know how anything works? Exactly. Neither do I. So that's why we're learning how stuff works. I every time someone new comes in, I'm gonna say this, but I saw a quote years ago that when only a thanks for gifting us sub to Noel. I appreciate it. Let's go. Basically, less than 1% of modern day population would be able to make any sort of technological difference if they were teleported back to, say, like the medieval era. Like people nowadays just don't understand how the things, like their everyday items are like how they work or how they're made, that kind of stuff. So this is by no means going to be changing that percentage, but we're here to learn stuff. I watched Bob ad free with the power of love. Ayo, how does mitosis work? That's a good question. But yeah, so after today's stream, I'll have a thread probably in the suggestions tab or in the suggestions channel in the Discord. And if people want to put things that they're curious about how it works, you can put it in there, and I will find a video on it, and we will look it up the next time we do one of these. So yeah, I'll have that I'll make it after the stream. A nature work stream, I can answer questions. Yeah, sure, we can do that. We can do like different categories, because I'm gonna do one where it's like more of like how it's made. Like we're gonna watch some how it's made videos and stuff. So yeah. I have a broken car engine. Can you come over and fix it? I don't know how car engines work yet. I haven't watched the 8-minute video. If you stick around, Noel, you can fix your car engine yourself after you watch the video, right? Right? The daddy cell and the same daddy cell love each other very much. They split off into two genetically equal cells. I mean, kinda. How does the first heater work? It pulls air in. It then uses these it uses fire to heat up these tube things that it sends the air through. And then it sends it throughout your house. Yeah. Yeah. Osmosis? I have no idea. Cloning? What do I think about? I have no idea. But yeah, so we're gonna learn how a car engine works. We're gonna learn how a car engine works. All right. This video is by. Oh, whoops. Animagraphs. Animagraphs. An even number of gifted so Unamaz. Oh, I appreciate it, Richard. I appreciate it. All right, let's learn how a car engine works. thank you for gifting us up to Frosty XX Tentacion. Nice.
I'm Jake O'Neill, creator of Animagraphs.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I need to explain how a car engine works. Echo, no more. Okay, buddy. We're okay. Oh, do I even know how a car engine works? Oh, I think it basically takes fuel. It puts them into these pressure chamber things. These like piston thingies that then compress. And when they compress enough, it creates an explosion. And that explosion generates force to turn something else, which then goes to the rest of your car. That's Bob's explanation about how I think it works. No one's say if it's right or wrong yet. Wait until after the prediction. So yeah, that's how I think an engine works. I know there's a lot more going on than that, but I don't fucking know how it works. that's as good as it's gonna get from me. That's about as good as it's gonna get. All right, how cooked am I? How cooked am I? How cooked are we, chat? Is Bob be smart? Feel free to put in your channel points now. I also forgot, I have these potatoes sitting here that also have like chicken noodle on top of them. They're probably very cold now. Yeah, they're still kind of warm. Potatoes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Oh, so funny story. So a couple of years, like 2 years ago, someone in my neighborhood passed away. Wasn't really anyone that I really knew very well or anything. But they had just this massive amount of food storage. And it's a massive amount of food storage. Their wife, they were like elderly. So he just like passed away from old age. But his wife was going to move into like a retirement home, like one of those old folks' homes. And she's like, I can't take all this with me. So she basically put out a notice to like a bunch of people in the neighborhood, like, hey, I have all this food storage. Please come take some. Because it all has to be gone because I'm selling the house. So I need all this food storage gone. So my family went over a bit later in the day because we have a good amount of food storage built up already. So we figured we'd let other people kind of take like a lot of like the better stuff. And we would just kind of come over and just grab odds and ends or whatever. basically we were the last ones there, and they still had 50 gajillion cans of like shredded or of wheat. They use like make bread and potato flakes, and they were like, please just take the rest of this. And keep in mind, this is probably close to like 70 cans of wheat and potato flakes. So for the last 2 years, we've just had these 70 cans of wheat and potato flakes just stacked up in our downstairs family room, just sitting. So I was like, I'm gonna crack open one of those. I'm gonna make some potatoes. So yeah, here we are. Because my parents came home from my grandparents' house, and they made chicken noodles. Hey, no more. Okay. So I'm like, oh, I'll have some potatoes and chicken noodle. After years, I mean, it's like the sealed cans. Like you have to use a can opener to open them. So they're all sealed. They're meant to last for like 30 to 50 years or whatever. And a lot of these were like just barely bought within the last like 7 or 8 years. So they were not old at all. Yeah, it's a bunch of, yeah, it's long-lasting food storage. So yeah. How did I get on this topic? Oh, because I said I had potatoes. That's right. Anyways, let's learn how a car engine works. Let's learn how a car engine works.
And this is how a car engine works.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Let's start at a single piston, the powerhouse of the engine, and work our way out.
Potato pie accents fire, right? I love mashed potatoes.
The 4-stroke cycle. When a piston travels to the end of its range,
I'm sorry.
whether up or down, that's a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Car engines use a 4-stroke
Mitochondria is the
cycle,
powerhouse of the cell.
and it goes like this. First, intake. The piston
I'm
descends,
sorry.
sucking an air-fuel mixture into the cylinder through the intake port, with both intake valves open. Next,
Okay.
compression. With all valves closed, the piston comes back up, compressing the fuel and air mixture for more powerful combustion. Then, the power stroke. An electrical spark ignites the compressed fuel and air mixture, and the resulting combustion forces the piston to the bottom of the cylinder again. A connecting rod transfers this power to the crankshaft. Finally, exhaust. The piston comes back up, pushing the spent mixture out through open exhaust valves and the exhaust port, connecting multiple pistons.
I mean, that's basically
For
how I
smooth
explained it,
power delivery,
right?
Pistons take turns firing. The firing order for this engine is 1, 3, 4, 2. Camshafts with
Why is it
specially
weird
shaped
like that? Why isn't it
cams
just 1, 2, 3,
push
4?
spring-loaded valves open in turn. Cam gears and a timing belt or chain links everything to the crankshaft, and it all spins together. The crankshaft
Not too much pressure on one
translates
side of the
piston
engine.
power out of the engine.
Oh, that's a good point.
It has counterweights to balance against the pistons for perfectly smooth revolutions. This is what RPM means. We're counting the number of full crankshaft revolutions per minute.
Oh, okay. I always wondered what RPM meant. I thought that was how many times the tires turn. But I guess this makes more sense. Yeah, that's basically how I explained it. Right? For the horses? In the engine block. I don't know.
G-block holds the crankshaft and cylinders. And the
I think that's
cylinder head
horsepower,
holds
right?
valves, ports, cams, etc. A geared flywheel sits at one side of the crankshaft for connection to a transmission. It's also where the starter connects to the system. This engine has 4 cylinders, a
Where the term horsepower comes from? Isn't it basically like, I don't know like the origin or anything, but isn't it basically like echo? It's like echo, right? Like the amount of like power, it's like, I don't know, the amount of power that one horse has is 1 horsepower. So I can't explain this very well. We already had ads again. The fuck? So 1 horse is 1 horsepower, and then yeah, it goes from there. My mind's going blank. I can't fucking think. Anyways,
arranged in a single row. But there are many other possible configurations, like 6 cylinders with 3 on each side, angled in a V shape, or 8.
I
Despite
have an 8. My car's a V8. It's a big boy.
different design goals, the basic engine parts are all there. Now let's look at other systems that support this combustion process. Air intake. Air comes in through the air filter
There's V12.
and then
Yeah, but I
into
don't
the
think
intake
for
manifold,
just
where
everyday
it mixes
driving
the
you do not
fuel
need a
before being sucked into
V12.
individual cylinders through intake ports. Fuel.
Troop of room. Yeah,
The
fair.
fuel pump carries gas from the tank through a fuel filter to the engine, where fuel injectors emit a precisely timed spray of gas into the intake port. Cooling. Engines get very hot during operation and require a cooling system. Coolant channels around the cylinders and through the cylinder heads carry a special liquid called antifreeze to keep temperatures within safe operating range. It's called antifreeze because it won't freeze in icy weather. After cooling hot engine parts, coolant circulates through the radiator. The radiator has a network of small tubes and fins. Coolant passes through these channels while air, pulled in by the radiator fan, blows by the tubes, cooling the hot liquid for recirculation.
See.
A water pump keeps the coolant system flowing and properly pressurized.
A water pump.
The thermostat regulates coolant
Oh,
temperature
to
by either routing
pump the
coolant back
antifreeze,
through
probably.
the engine or to the radiator for further cooling.
Like, where's the water in this?
Electrical. The spark plug delivers the electrical spark that ignites the fuel-air mixture for combustion. The metal core is insulated from the outer metal casing with porcelain. The spark jumps between these conductive surfaces.
Wait, is porcelain conductive?
The coil
did I
pack
just mishear
delivers
that?
electrical current to the spark plugs, as directed by the ECM, or Engine Control Module. The ECM is a computer that directs many core engine functions, like spark timing, valve open and close timing, air-to-fuel ratio, etc. The alternator works like a power generator, converting the engine's mechanical energy into electricity to charge the battery or run other electrical systems while the engine is running. The battery provides
No, it's weird because my grandpa and my youngest brother are really into cars, and they like work on cars all the time. They're always saying like all these different things, like the alternator, the starter, the spark plugs, the radiator. They're saying all these terms. So I like all these terms are familiar to me. I just never know like how they like worked and how they worked in conjunction with each other. Porcelain's not conductive. Yeah, I figured. I must have just misheard that then. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to hear like all these terms that I've heard before and hear how they work together. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Grabs the ability of a car to do work. A horse can lift 550 pounds by 1 foot in a second. A car is measured to that standard. How many pounds can it move 1 foot in a second? Oh, interesting. Damn, horses are strong. Holy shit. Damn, 550 pounds in a foot in a second? That's, wow. We use it for so long? Yeah, that's fair.
Power to the starter for engine start. Oil. Motor oil is used to lubricate, clean, prevent corrosion, improve sealing, and cool the engine by carrying heat away from moving parts. Rings around the top of the piston head keep oil out of the combustion process, while otherwise allowing the cylinder
United States would like to know your location.
Oil galleries are channels through the engine block and cylinder head that carry oil to various engine parts.
You hook up a
Oil
Shetland
flows through the
pony of
engine and back to the
half
oil
horsepower.
tank for recirculation. Oil rests in the oil pan when not in circulation. The oil pump keeps oil properly pressurized and flowing. And the oil filter keeps oil clean from contaminants. Exhaust. The exhaust manifold collects gases from multiple cylinders into one pipe. Exhaust flows through the catalytic converter, which captures toxic chemicals in engine exhaust, and then out through a muffler that reduces exhaust noise. And finally, here's the full functioning engine with all the basic systems we've discussed.
Cool. Well, I don't know. I feel like my explanation like got the main the core. Yeah, I got like the core idea of what an engine is supposed to do. I mean, obviously there's all this extra shit but all that's I feel like is there to support the main concept of what I explained, right? So I feel like the main purpose of the engine is what I explained. Think we'd give you that? Hell yeah. Also, I just realized, I'm sorry, Gree, I just realized if with you starting the prediction, you can't predict yourself. More in detail would be unfair to assume the layman knows. So yeah, I think I'm gonna take that one. Hell yeah.
Big stretch.
Think for the posture check. I'm gonna use all those points you just got. I'm gonna go to sleep. You have a good lessons. Thank you, Nina. Hopefully you have a good night. What the hell am I listening to? Why am I listening to Epic? Huh? Why is this in here? What? Oh, I forgot to loop it. So the song just ended. I forgot to loop it. Okay. My Spotify was playing. done predicting. I go too far into detail, so I just get them wrong. Yeah, basically when I'm explaining, I'm just trying to explain the general gist. I know there's a lot of extra components that go into it, like all the stuff like the radiator and the catalytic converter and the fuel filter and the oil pan and all this shit. But I'm basically just trying to explain the gist of the main component or the main purpose of how it works. I go for every part. Yeah, I don't know how every part works. I don't know how every part works. I'm basically just trying to explain the general gist. The general purpose, or yeah. We're predicting for me? Yeah, that's fair. It's up to you, mate. I'm sorry. Ramsell, go. You have fun knowing something I don't really do. I'm surprised I'm getting a lot of these right, to be honest. I'm surprised I know how some of this stuff works. Yeah, thank you for joining us, Nina. Have a great rest of your night. We will see you later. We will see you later. Have a good one. All right, what do we have next? Next we have locks. And if I remember right, I have two different type of locks videos. So this first one is a sorry, let me move over. A pin tumbler lock. So basically your normal lock and key, like your house lock, your house door lock, like your car lock, stuff like that. Then I think the other one is a combination lock. It's like the round ones. Okay, so how does a lock work? Well, with the key, I actually do kind of know how locks work. So there's these, I think they're called tumblers or pins. I think called pins. There's these pins that go down, and they push on like a thing above them that will unlock. So when they're pushed at so you put your key in, and the key is like the little bumps and ridges or whatever you call it, little bumps on them. And when you put the key in, it pushes the pins up to the to the level they're supposed to be to push on this the top part that unlocks the lock. I don't understand how, like, yeah, I don't fully get how the top part works, but I know the pins and the ridges on the key. Yeah. So basically, if the pins aren't pushed up properly, the lock won't unlock. That's why you have to have the right, that's why not any key works. And that's why you have to have the right key. So yeah, that's my explanation. For this one, Gria, probably just do a 1 minute, just because this is only a 3-minute video. This is only a 3-minute video, so yeah, I'll probably do a shorter one. Potatoes. All right. Let's go and get started. Jesus Christ, that's so loud. Wait, when did this video come out? 7 years ago. Okay. Yeah, that intro checks out. That intro checks out. I love the music.
When you open up a lock with a key, do you ever stop to think about what's going on inside? Only the correct key will open the lock.
Oh, I didn't realize, with this shape too, like there's ridges on like the key itself, like along the sides. And I imagine like these move so that it's just like an extra layer of protection, kinda. I've really thought about that.
When you open up a lock with a key, do you ever stop to think about what's going on inside? Only the correct key will open the lock. Why is that? Each key has its own unique shape. These ridges on the key have to match exactly with the lock for it to work. There are many different types of locks, but the most common one is called a pin tumbler lock. Let me show you how this works.
Oh, because there's something called a
Outside part
tumbler.
is called the case. The inside part is called the plug. This is the
Okay.
part that turns when the correct key is put in.
This is
The opening here is called the keyway. On the inside, there's a few more parts. There are several vertical shafts that go through the case and the plug. Each shaft has a spring, driver pin, and a key pin. The springs press all the pins down.
Oh, okay. So it looks like, yeah, there isn't really a thing above it. It's just these are different lengths to go with the ridges, and the ridges push them up far enough so that you're able to turn it.
So they all rest on
Oh.
this ledge. You'll notice that the pins meet at a different level for each shaft. For the
Okay.
plug to turn, the pins must line up with the shear line. Now watch what happens when we insert the wrong key. The pins are not lined up, which means the plug won't rotate. When we insert the correct key, everything lines up and the plug turns. So we covered the
I
case
see.
of one key for one lock.
Welcome in, Starshine. How we doing?
Let's say there's a building where there's a different key for each door. But there's also a key that opens every single door in the building. This is called a master key. For the master key to work, there must be an extra pin in at least one of the vertical shafts. We call this the master pin. Now the plug will turn if there is a key that raises the pins either to here or to here. So here's our regular key going in.
Oh, I
Here's the
see.
master key going in. Both keys allow us to turn the plug. Some master key systems will have more than one shaft with a master pin. So that's the basics of how a pin tumbler lock works.
Huh.
There's a whole lot going on every time you use a key to open a lock. If you like this video, then you'll enjoy the video I made about door handles. I go through and show you all the little pieces inside and how they work together. I'll go ahead and put a link for it right here. My
Maybe we'll
name's
have to
Jared
watch that. Maybe we'll have to watch that next time. Because I never got how master keys work, right? I never really thought about master keys. That's interesting. I like that. So we're correct to a point. Yeah, I'd say I'm still correct. With like the I just didn't like I said, where's the inside?
They all
Oh,
rest.
yeah, here. I thought there was like something up here. I thought there was something up here that these had to like align with, but I'm thinking of this thing here, that shear line thing. So it's not really up top, but it's more of like in the middle. But yeah, I'd still say I'm right. Like the pins have to like line up for the thing to turn. So yeah, I'd still say I'm right. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I never realized it was just nothing above it. I thought it was something up here. Yeah, interesting. Then yeah, it's cool how we also learn how master keys work. That's kind of cool. Yeah, so let's quickly just move right into the next one.
In this
Whoops. No. Go. There we go. Okay. Combination locks. Oh. How do I think a combination lock works? I assume there's not pins. My assumption is, I don't think I've actually ever learned how combination locks work. Like I know this, but I can't remember. Work one of these opens, I don't know how they work. Okay, here's what I think. The combination lock, right? Generally they have 3 numbers you have to turn them to. So I think there's like 3 like 3 plates or something in there, and each number correlates to a plate. And when you turn it to that number, it kind of unlocks that plate, or like aligns them or something. Or maybe it like pushes them out of the way of the actual, like, because you know how like with the lock, it has like this part that goes down inside the lock, and then it has like the little indent. So maybe it pulls them out. Maybe it like pulls the plates out so that you can pull the lock, so you can pull the bar out. That's kind of what I think. That's my guess. There's like 3 plates in there to like rotate. Watch this vid, then gonna go need a shower. No problem, mate. No problem. This is only it's like a 5-minute video. I made these in high school because I would sometimes just have fucking brain melt, and I remember my own lock combination. Oh my god, same. Oh my god, same. I like, especially on like my locker. I didn't use my locker all that often, so I'd always have to have the combination on my phone. So and I would all like I'd say probably like 2 out of 5 times I would have to look up on my phone what the combination was because I just would not remember. And every year you get a new locker. So yeah. Lockers, luckies, yeah. Well, I mean, we had to have like a locker partner, and I just always had it with either my brother or my best friend. So yeah, I almost never used my locker though. We did have gym lockers though as well, and we had to bring our own combination lock for them. But I remember one time, so when I would go to gym, we would go into the changing room. It'd be like male and female changing rooms. I'd go into the changing room. I would have my combination lock on my little. Basically, it's enough to just basically fit your backpack in, and that's it. And like, you put your backpack in. You have a change of clothes that are already in there that you just keep there for a day or two, or that you put in the morning or something. I don't know. I would usually bring a new change of clothes like every other day. And basically it was usually just short t-shirts. Shorts and a t-shirt. Jesus. But yeah, so I would unlock my lock, and it was like a not a mesh, but you know, like the kind of like wire. Like it was like it wasn't solid. Like basically they had like the holes in it, and I would just, so I would unlock it, take my gym clothes out, put my backpack in. I would just kind of hang the lock on like through one of the holes on the inside, and then I would just close the locker so that I wouldn't have to re-unlock it when gym class was over. I didn't have problems all year until the last week of that trimester. Some dipshit thought it would be a good idea to they took my lock off. So they opened my locker, took out my lock, grabbed somebody's lock off of someone else's locker that they didn't relock up, and they locked their backpack, and they locked, like, basically they put the lock through all of the little holes and all the zippers on my backpack and locked it. And I never figured out who had my lock, and I never figured out who the lock on my bag belonged to. So I went the rest of the school year. Basically, I had to take the zipper things. It probably would have been better just to cut off the lock, but I just never got around to it. Speaking of which, I'm pretty sure it's actually still on that backpack almost 10 years later. But yeah, I just took all of the, like, the actual, like, the flappy part and the zipper off, and so I would just have to, like, use my hand to just pull in the zippers. But yeah, not so fun time. It's called lockers, but someone took an M60 firework and lit it in a locker, making it blow up. What the fuck? I just didn't lock shit up. I didn't have this problem. Yeah, I didn't really, like, other than I use my gym locker, but but I didn't use my actual locker very much. Basically, I'd only use it if I had like a school project or something I had to bring in that I didn't want to carry around every single class. Or if I decided to wear a hat to school that day, and my school was super, 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 you do not wear hats during school, so I would just put it in my locker. But rednecks M60s are fun. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like a big firework. We'll told to lock our lockers because of drugs. Oh, yeah, that's fair. That was an excuse they learned. My regular locker and just use my gym locker without a lock. Someone stole my clothes, then you're weird. Someone did steal one of my friend's clothes. Like, they didn't bring their gym shorts that day, so they just used my, like, they just stole them out of my friend's gym locker. And then my friend actually called them out and got them in trouble for it because it had his name written on the tag. So, yeah, that kid got in a lot of trouble for stealing stuff out of someone else's locker. But anyways, let's learn how combination locks work.
In this video, we're going to use 3D animation to show the inside of a combination lock.
Wait. Oh, wait, did he drop his... Oh, did he drop his intro? Aw, man, he dropped his intro.
I'm going to go over exactly why putting
Dropped
in a
his
3-digit
intro.
combination allows us to open
Oh,
the lock.
wait, does it have 3 plates?
Let's check it out.
Oh, no, here it is. He did do his intro. Never mind.
During most of my teen years, I used a combination lock at school to open up my locker. Before making this video, I really didn't understand how it worked. So I did some research, looked at a few patents, and then opened one up to see what's on the inside. Let me show you what I learned.
Accidentally get... It looks like there's 3 plates!
Here's the case that holds all of our parts. This metal curved bar is called the shackle. It won't come out until the right combination is put in. Then it pops right open. This piece is called the lever. It slides right onto the bar here. The lever can rotate counterclockwise. This piece of metal wants to flex outward. Once it's bent inside of here, the tension makes the latch want to spring back to its original position. Normally the latch would just keep going, but the rotation will be stopped by this tiny bump. The lever also has a tiny latch here that is spring-loaded from the inside. The shackle comes down, pushes the latch in, and then the latch fits right into the groove, and we are locked. When the shackle is pulled out, the latch is forced to rotate to allow the shackle to come all the way out. Then the lever springs back into place. Let's watch that again. The shackle can't come all the way out because of the shackle collar. It guides the shackle as it slides along here, but it stops us once we hit the very top. Okay, the reason that the locking mechanism works is that if the latch can't rotate, then the shackle won't come out. This is where the 3 cams come into play. Let me show you. The back plate has a bar sticking out. It holds the 3 cams, washers in between, and a spring at the end. The spring ensures that the 3 cams and the washers are all pressed together. Cam 2 and 3 can spin freely, but cam number 1 is actually attached to the dial. So when the dial spins, this cam spins too. This is what it looks like all put together. Each cam has an indentation in them. The lock will open when all 3 of them are lined up. You can see how the lever can now rotate, which allows the shackle to open. When these 3 indentations are not lined up...
Okay, so how I thought it was gonna be is these things are up here on this like indent part on the lock. I didn't understand how this part works. Also, I still don't understand how metal piece thing works, but I mean, I'm surprised like the three plates. Damn, I actually kind of got that. I don't know if I would consider it. I don't know. We're not done with the video yet, but I at least got the 3 plates part.
not lined up, the lever can't rotate, which means the shackle can't come out. So how do we line up the cams by only turning this dial? Let's look a little closer. Each cam has at least one of these teeth sticking off of it. You can see them better from this point of view. If we turn cam 1 far enough, the tooth on cam 1 will contact the tooth on cam 2. And then if we keep turning, all 3 cams move together. In fact, this is the first step to opening up the lock. Let's walk through this process on the inside. This time we're looking at it from the front, so all 3 cams will need to line up here. We turn the dial clockwise 3 times to clear it. All 3 cam teeth are in contact with each other and move as one. Now let's keep turning the dial until we hit the first number in the combination, which in this case is 21. Notice how cam 3 is now lined up right where it should be. Now let's work on the second number in the combination. This time we turn counterclockwise 1 full rotation. Watch as the teeth from cam 1 come in contact with cam 2 on the other side. Notice how this doesn't touch cam 3, which is still right where it should be. Now we keep spinning the dial until we hit the second number, which is 34. Now cam 2 and cam 3 are lined up. For the last number in the combination, just rotate the dial clockwise until it lines up with the third number. And there we go. All 3 cams are lined up, the lever rotates, allowing the shackle to come out. As the shackle is pushed back in, it comes down with a bit of a jolt, which is usually enough to nudge the cams out of alignment. This
Larson.
Open the second time for free. You'll need to use the correct combination once again.
Huh. Cool. Also, yeah, sorry, these videos are by Jared Owen Animations. That's the channel. Well, I guess the channel is just Jared Owens. Yeah. Talking about Larson guessing the 3 plates. I mean, it's me we're talking about. I'm dumb as rocks. The fact that with no knowledge of how this thing works, I'm just happy that I was able to at least get that part. Now the question is do we take that as a correct guess? Basically, how I said it was it? I thought these things were directly connected to this, so I completely missed out on this entire part. Get in a shower? Hell yeah, have a good shower, Richard. Try not to drown. Metal being tension is what causes the shackle to spring open. Does the shackle really spring open though? I feel like you usually have to pull it, don't you? Have a good stream and learning things. Thanks, Richard. Also, I love how I said that this was gonna be a 2-hour stream and we're only about a third of the way through the videos. I mean, a lot of the videos from here on out are pretty short. I mean, there's one about batteries here that's almost 20 minutes. So I don't know. Maybe I'll save. We'll only watch like a couple of them because I didn't want today's stream to be super long. I wanted it to be like 3 hours at the maximum. Jars just pop open. Huh? Maybe it's been too long since I've opened a combination like that. I just don't remember. But I think tension wasn't enough. Just pop it open. A bit of a pull-up popped open. Yeah. Like I remember just pulling on like the whole circular bottom part here. You just give it a tiny little tug and it just opens. But or yours just popped open. Maybe it was a slightly different mechanism then. Yeah, brand thing. I could see that, yeah. Same general concept though, I would imagine. Yeah, probably just a slightly different mechanism somewhere in here that pushed this thing up when this was correct. Maybe this right here was spring loaded. So it's wanting to push down. When it is able to push down, it just pops open. I don't know. Yeah, do we take that as a dub? Do we take that as a dub? I don't know. It's kind of one of those gray areas again. Where I'm kind of right, but also I completely missed an entire, like, very important mechanism. I just really talked about the 3 plates. Did anyone even vote on it? Misrepresented the whole opening mechanism? Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'd probably say we got that wrong then. Because I feel like this right here Yeah, is kind of important. Also, I think it was interesting. I didn't realize they had like the. I think it was interesting with like the nub things on the back that like hit each other and allow the other things to move. I thought that was kind of cool. It's a 3-code lock and needs 3 things to open it. I know, but I don't know. It's me, and I'm just happy that I at least got that part right. Just from complete guessing, because usually I wouldn't be able to guess something like that. I'm horrible when it comes to mechanics and engineering and how shit like this works. I'm usually horrible at that kind of stuff. But yeah, on to the next one. What is the next one? I'm not gonna lie. I misread something in here and I thought it said, how does tear gas work? Smoke alarms! Smoke alarms! Okay, how does a smoke alarm work? Oh, I don't actually know. Smoke alarm. My initial guess was is there is some sort of like testing strip that puts off like a chemical reaction or something when it mixes with smoke, and there's like a sensor in here that detects that chemical reaction. But I feel like when you have a smoke detector, the only thing you have to worry about replacing is the batteries. So I feel like that's not it. But I can't think of anything else. I can't think of how else it would work. So I guess that's just going to be my guess. That's going to be my guess. There's some sort of testing strip. When it mixes with smoke, it creates a chemical reaction, and the smoke alarm will detect when that chemical reaction happens. And then it sets off the alarm. That's my guess. That is my guess. All right, let's figure out how it actually works.
Very simple devices that need only 2 functions: a way of detecting smoke and a way of alerting people to the problem. From new technology involving lasers to old world technology that relies on a lone individual sitting in a tower on the side of a mountain just waiting to see smoke, all do the same thing in different ways. The 2 most commonly used smoke alarms, mainly because they are inexpensive, are photoelectric and ionization detector alarms. The difference between the
ionization.
how they detect
Kind of goes along with what I was saying.
Conditions of the fire, one type is usually better than the other. Many other kinds of detectors exist that are more expensive and often situation specific, such as needing to protect classified documents or computer servers. These tend to be much more sensitive.
Oh, sorry. This video is by Today I Found Out.
Many different levels of detection and alarm. The most common of these is aspiration detectors. Photoelectric detectors use a beam of light sent from a light-emitting diode, LED, that is detected by a photocell. There is a common misconception that the photocell receives light at all times from the LED, and when smoke gets in the way, the alarm is triggered.
On a prediction, I was pulled away. I mean, I saw a prediction run. I saw one run. I don't think anyone voted on it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw one run.
This misconception ignores one glaring problem. It would require a large amount of smoke to block the light from the photocell, making it extremely insensitive. A person would be dead from smoke inhalation long before the detector would ever go off. What is actually happening in photoelectric fire alarms is the LED sends a beam of light, usually down a T-shaped chamber. Sitting at the bottom of the T is the photocell. When smoke enters the chamber, some of the light is scattered by the particles, with some rays getting sent down to the photocell. When this photocell detects light, it generates an electrical current that triggers the alarm at a certain threshold. Once that current stops, the smoke is cleared, the alarm will stop. Photoelectric detectors are better at detecting slow smoldering and therefore generally smokier fires. Ionization detectors use ionizing radiation from a material known as americium-241. Ionizing radiation is simply radiation from substances that can free electrons from an atom or molecule, the net result being ions that have a specific electric charge of either positive or negative. The detectors use a small amount of americium-241 contained in a small chamber. This chamber is made up of two oppositely charged metal plates that are kept a small distance apart. When the alpha particles interact with the air in the chamber, they produce ions. The positively charged plate attracts the negative ions, and the negatively charged plate attracts the positive ions. This system creates a small electric current. When smoke enters the chamber, the particles attach themselves to the charged ions and restore them back to a neutral electrical state. This disrupts the electric current and an alarm is triggered. Hot air can also change the rate at which ionization occurs within the chamber, and this will also trigger the alarm. Ionization detectors are much more common than photoelectric detectors because they are less expensive and better at detecting smaller amounts of smoke that come from fast flaming fires. If you're worried about your house having so-called nuclear radiation in it, don't. The small amount of radiation found in the detector is practically harmless, being predominantly alpha radiation. This type cannot even penetrate a piece of paper and is blocked by just several centimeters of air. The only danger comes from if you inhale the particles, so no taking apart the ionization chamber and huffing the air in it to try to develop superpowers. Lung tissue damage, increasing your risk of lung cancer and other such health problems, may not be the superpower you were hoping for. Plus, the superhero name Wheezy won't exactly instill fear into the hearts of evil doers the world over. The differing strengths of these two types of sensors has led to the creation of detectors that employ both types of systems. This allows for the rapid detection of both small smoldering fires and fast-moving ones. The less common aspirating smoke detectors use a fan to draw in air from the surrounding environment. Next, a system of filtering, sensing, and analyzing the air sample is employed. Depending on the environment needing protection, this system can be as sensitive, some as much as 1,000 times as much as a standard photoelectric or ionization detector, or advanced as the situation requires. Should the system detect any type of negative environment, such as small amounts of smoke, small changes in temperature, or flickering light, as from a flame, it can notify the appropriate personnel in many different ways. Multiple levels of warning can trigger different responses depending on the stage of the fire, from simply notifying personnel of a pending problem to communicating with a fire alarm control panel to adjust air conditioning or release different types of fire-suppressing agents, or all of the above. Bonus facts. Americium-241 is a man-made metal discovered by Glenn Seaborg in 1944. It is produced when plutonium atoms absorb neutrons in nuclear reactors. It has a half-life of 432 years. The first detection system that had the ability to sense smoke was created by Grainarcher from Bern in 1922. The first underwriter's laboratory listing for a smoke detection device was obtained by Walter Kidd in 1929 and was used to release a total flooding CO2 system for shipboard uses. Bonus fact 3. The first ionization chamber for the purposes of detecting smoke was inadvertently discovered by Walter Jaeger in the 1930s while he was attempting to develop a poison gas
I'll never
detector.
remember, right?
In the early 1940s, Jaeger and Melly got together and created the first edition of an ionization detector that we use
Okay,
today.
well, I don't think we need to watch all the bonus facts, but yeah, I don't think I got that one right. I don't think I would have gotten that one right. I said something to do with like a chemical reactions, like some sort of strip. What are we on? We're on smoke detectors. Yeah, I don't think I got that one right. Let's prediction. Wait. I could have sworn I saw one run. But this is saying start prediction. Never started it? I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw one run. I don't know. I might be thinking things. Smoke detectors are weird. Yeah, I guess it has to do with like ionization or something. I don't know. I still don't fully understand it. I would probably have to rewatch it. The problem with me with doing this is I'm focusing on too many other things, and I'm not fully focused on the video, so I'm not actually learning all that much, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I'll probably go through these and watch them all fully, like off stream as well, just so I can understand fully how they work. Ionization is the type of shit that made me change my degree. Like, and nope. So yeah, I think I unfortunately got that one wrong. But yeah, that's how smoke detectors work. Cool. Next, we're gonna learn how dishwashers work. How does a dishwasher work? Also, this video was by History of Simple Things. I think I actually have quite a few videos from them on here. Yeah, I have a couple videos on here from them. By washing the dishes, duh. All right, how does Bobble think a dishwasher works? I know it has that spinny thing in the bottom. I know it has the spinny thing. My guess is you put the soap in, the soap mixes with the water, and the spinny thingy in the bottom it has like the weird like two like blade looking things, and then water shoots up out of the spinny thingy, and like there's a whole bunch of like jets in it, and as it spins, it just shoots high pressured water up at your dishes. That's my guess. That is my guess. So yeah. I'll go ahead and run the prediction myself, just so that I can't. What? I'll be smart. There we go. Okay, start prediction. That way, you can also vote on it if you would like, Rhea. All right. Did Bob explain it well? Also, I should have run that as 1 minute. Well, live. All right. I'll give it a second, see if people want to invest channel points into it. Some music in the meantime. Launch some more potatoes. Missing a little bit, but covered the important stuff. Yeah, I'm just basically going for like the general gist. The general gist of it. Like, I know there's a whole bunch of other probably components and stuff in there that also are doing things, but yeah, I'm just going for the general gist of how I think it works. And then we will find out how it actually works. And then working at Home Depot taught me more than it should have. I mean, hey, real life experience? Hell yeah. I do like the seal. These mashed potatoes. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and watch how dishwashers actually work. I scrolled on Tumblr and I was like, hey, potatoes.
Dishwashers are one of those household appliances we often take for granted. You load it up, press a few buttons, and somehow, hours later, your crusty dinner plates come out sparkling clean. Magic, right? But if you've ever paused for a second while emptying your dishwasher and wondered how exactly does this thing do what it does, well, you're in for a fascinating little dive.
I don't actually have a dishwasher.
Because behind that clunky door is a surprisingly clever mix of plumbing, heat, engineering, and even a dash of chemistry. It's not just hot water spraying around randomly.
I haven't had a dishwasher probably close to like 15 years.
Inside. And once you understand it, you might never look at your dishwasher the same way again. So let's break it down right here on History of Simple Things. Every dishwasher cycle begins the same way, with a command. Once you shut the door and hit start, you're essentially giving the machine a green light to kick off a sequence of tasks, almost like a checklist. But before water even starts flowing, the first thing the dishwasher does is drain any leftover water from the previous cycle. Even if you think it's dry in there, there might be a little puddle at the bottom. It's kind of like clearing the slate. Once that's done, the dishwasher fills up with water. But here's the twist. It doesn't fill like a washing machine would. There's no full basin or tank getting flooded. Instead, it pulls in just the right amount of water from your home's water supply through an inlet valve. We're talking a few liters, enough to get the job done, but way less than washing dishes by hand. After pulling in water, the next step is heating it up. Most dishwashers have an internal heating element at the base.
Yeah, I guess,
kind of like the coils in an electric kettle.
Like I said, I haven't had a dishwasher in close to 15 years. So it's been a while since I've even seen a dishwasher. I completely forgot that the water was even hot, but I guess that would make sense. Only time in my life I've tried to help with the dishwasher, I flooded my grandparents' apartment. Oh no. Oh no.
Hot water might already be warm. The dishwasher often boosts that temperature even higher, usually to somewhere between 50 and 70 degrees Celsius.
What's that in Fahrenheit? Let's see here. 50 C to F. 122? 70. 158? Jesus Christ, that is scalding. I was 6, so they didn't get mad at me. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Dishwasher my family used was for 2 decades was me. Same. Then I moved out suddenly. Oh yeah, we use the dishwasher for everything now. Of course, of course.
Way hotter than your hands could handle, which is a big reason why dishwashers are generally better at removing grease and stuck-on food. Once the water is hot enough, it mixes with detergent that you've either poured into a compartment or placed in tablet form. The dishwasher automatically opens that little detergent door at the right time, usually after the first rinse, allowing the soap to blend in when it's most effective. Now we get to the action part.
I felt like a rich person thing to me as a kid, right?
At the bottom of your dishwasher, there's a motor that powers a small pump. That pump pushes the hot, soapy water
see, this is what I was talking about, this thing.
Spray arms. These spray arms usually look like small plastic propellers with holes along them, and they're designed to spin as water shoots out. And it's not just about spraying randomly. The water pressure causes them to rotate in such a way that they cover every inch of the racks above. Some dishwashers even have multiple spray arms, one at the bottom, another below the top rack, and sometimes a third one under the cutlery tray. The rotation isn't powered by a motor in each arm, by the way. It's the pressure of the water alone that makes them spin, which is kind of elegant in its simplicity.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, every time that water hit the camera, it made my eyes like want to start watering.
As the arms rotate, they blast the dishes from below and above with forceful jets of hot water mixed with detergent, dislodging food particles, grease, and grime. So, what happens to all that food and gunk that gets blasted off? Well, it doesn't just float around and reattach itself to your glasses. That would be pretty counterproductive. Near the base of your dishwasher, there's a filter system, usually a mesh or cylindrical screen, that traps larger food particles. Some high-end dishwashers even have a mini garbage disposal-like chopper that grinds up the debris so it can be safely drained away.
I've never had a disposal
Most
either.
Standard models, however, rely on that filter, which means it's a good idea to clean it out every now and then, unless you want a smelly backup. The water, now loaded with debris and soap, eventually drains out through a pump and hose system connected to your sink's plumbing or dedicated drain. After the initial wash, the dishwasher doesn't stop there. Now comes the rinse cycle, sometimes even
Tasty.
multiple rinses. The goal here is to wash away all
forbidden drink.
the loosened food and detergent residue using fresh, clean water. This rinse water is also sprayed through the arms just like before, though this time it's detergent-free. Depending on the cycle you've selected,
Forbidden
eco,
soup. Yeah,
heavy,
there you go.
quick, the dishwasher might rinse once or several times, with pauses in between.
The thing I don't get, these arms aren't getting all the way out to the edges. Like, this edge of this, what is it? It almost looks like a cleaver. This thing, like, it's not getting the edge of this. It's only getting, like, halfway. I don't know.
In some machines, a rinse aid is automatically added during this stage. That's that bluish liquid you pour into a separate compartment, and its job is to help the water
It's enough
sheet
to
off
shoot
the
it around the
surfaces,
entire machine.
preventing spots and speeding up drying.
Spreads and ricochets.
Once your dishes are squeaky clean,
I feel like it would
there's
lose
one
pressure
last
if it
thing to do.
ricochets, wouldn't it?
Dry them. Now, how that happens actually depends on the model of your dishwasher. Some machines use that same heating element we talked about earlier to create warm air that evaporates the water off your dishes. Others rely on a fan to circulate hot air inside the chamber. And newer, energy-efficient models often skip the heating altogether and use something called condensation drying. That's where the stainless steel walls of the dishwasher, cooler than the steamy air, cause the moisture to collect and drip down away from your dishes. It's a quieter and more energy-saving method, but it can sometimes leave a little dampness behind on plastics or awkward-shaped items.
I think that's kind of how mine worked. I think that's how mine worked back when we had it, because like some of the dishes you'd still have to dry a little bit. You pull them out.
People often assume dishwashers are water-hungry monsters compared to hand washing, but that's a misconception. A modern dishwasher uses somewhere between 6 to 15 liters of water.
Speaking of which, I'm pretty sure my brother is actually doing the dishes literally right above my head, like as we speak. But the food should be relatively soaked, so it's easier to get the gunk off. Yeah, that's fair. I assume, like, if I remember, you're also supposed to, like, scrape. Yeah, add soon. Thank you, Gria. I assume we're supposed to, like, you're supposed to, like, scrape, a bunch of the stuff off before you put it in. At least that's how we would always do it. We had to, like, scrape our plates off. And then put them into the dishwasher.
Per cycle. Compare that to leaving your tap running while washing by hand, and you're easily using 30 liters or more. Plus, dishwashers heat water internally, often more efficiently than your hot water tank, and they recycle water during the rinse and wash stages. So as long as you're running full loads and not pre-rinsing everything like your grandmother taught you, dishwashers actually save both water and energy.
Yeah, we wouldn't pre-rinse, but yeah, we would have like a scraper and we just scrape it off into the garbage.
So the next time you hear that low hum in your kitchen and see the faint steam rise when you open the door at the end of a cycle, you'll know it's not just water splashing around inside. It's a mini industrial wash zone, working in perfect sync, pulling in water, heating it to just the right temp, pumping it through a maze of nozzles, filtering out debris, rinsing it clean, and drying it all off. It's a modern miracle that fits under your kitchen counter and saves you hours of scrubbing. It's not glamorous, and it doesn't have the glitz of a smartphone or a TV, but the humble dishwasher is a silent workhorse. And now that you know how it works, maybe, just maybe, you'll even clean the filter once in a while. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.
Cool. I feel like I explained the gist of it, right? I feel like I got that explanation pretty good. Something for me to understand this whole time. For me to understand this whole time that I didn't already know, right? Yeah, I like this channel. This channel seemed to have some good stuff. Luckily, we have a couple more. We have a couple more in the chamber. Fairly solid recap, right? Hell yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna take the dub on that one. Choose outcome. Yeah. Hell yeah. Enjoy your channel points. Enjoy your points. Condensation drying though, that's hella cool, right? I didn't know about that either. I guess I never really thought about how the drying works. I just thought about the washing part. Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that. Okay, what's the next one? Microwave oven. How does a microwave oven work? Oh, before we start, this video is by Brain Stuff, How It Works. Nice. Okay, how does Bobble think a microwave works? How do I think a I know that it shoots microwaves. Just basically just shoots it into your food. And certain, I know like certain types of food, or like not certain types of food, but like components of food. I can't think of the word. Like absorb it, and it eats them up or something. Like they react and it causes heat or something. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Shoots microwave, like bounces microwaves all over the place within the container. And certain parts of your food absorb it and it heats up your food. Yeah. All right. So that's my prediction. Okay. Start prediction. On it. There we go. But like science knowledge being transferred osmosisly. How's it going, Arctic? Welcome in, buddy. I think I'm supposed to be brought up in this chat. Yeah. How's it going, mate? We're learning about stuff. We're learning. Yeah, feel free to do the predictions about halfway through. I think my explanation got the gist of it, or if I just completely am wrong in how I think it works. Yeah, predict one way or the other. And yeah, let's go ahead and learn how microwaves actually work.
Whether you love them or hate them, there's no denying microwave ovens are super convenient. They can heat food like this much more quickly than a conventional oven, although not always with the same results. But how do they, how do they work, right? Yeah, microwaves. Sure, microwaves, great. But what the heck are those? That's a good question. Microwaves are a type of wave on the electromagnetic spectrum, and they're kind of sandwiched between radio waves and infrared radiation. In the case of microwave ovens, the most common wave frequency is roughly 2,450 megahertz. Waves in this frequency range have an interesting property. They're absorbed by water, fats, and sugars. And
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. The different types of food. Or different things like in your food. Yeah. Water, fats, and sugar.
They're converted directly into atomic motion, heat. These waves have another convenient property, though. They are not absorbed by most plastics, glass, or ceramics. Metal, however, does reflect microwaves, which is why it's a bad idea to leave a spoon in your cheese dip when the microwave oven's on. Not that any of us have done that. You'll often hear people say microwave ovens cook from the inside.
My girlfriend made fun of me the other day because I spent my Friday night learning about astrophysics to see how realistic Dead Space was while she was out for drinks. Nice.
Side out, right? That's the key to the speed. Well, think about it like this. Let's say you're baking a cake in a conventional oven. Normally, you'd bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or so, but this time you accidentally set that bad boy for 600 degrees Fahrenheit. The outside of the cake is gonna burn before the inside even gets warm, and you will have ruined somebody's birthday. In a conventional oven, the heat has to migrate by conduction from the outside of the food toward the middle. Hot, dry air on the outside evaporates moisture, so the outside can be crispy and brown, like the crust on bread, while the inside is still moist. In microwave cooking, though, the radio waves penetrate the food and excite the water and fat molecules more or less evenly throughout. No heat has to migrate toward the interior by conduction. There's heat everywhere, all at once, because the molecules are all excited together. There are limits, though. Microwaves penetrate unevenly in thick pieces of food. That means they don't make it all the way to the middle, basically. And there are also hot spots caused by wave interference, but you get the idea. The heating process is different because you are exciting atoms rather than conducting heat. Inside a microwave oven, the air is at room temperature, so there's no way to form a crust. That's why microwavable pastries, or Hot Pockets, sometimes come with this little sleeve thing made out of foil and cardboard. The sleeve reacts to the microwave energy by becoming very hot. This exterior heat
Don't you not want to put foil in your microwave?
In a conventional oven.
No,
So
I don't
that's
eat Hot Pockets.
That's the secret behind microwaves. Thanks to our producer, Paul, for letting me eat this Hot Pocket while we're recording. Well, enough about me. What do you think about microwaves? Let me know in the comments. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Let me know what other...
Nice. Never use the sleeves. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've ever actually made a Hot Pocket. It's just not something we ate in my family. I don't know, I just never got into them. And if it's smooth? Oh, interesting. Creases, it can cause a buildup of energy and start a fire. Oh. Does it not work the same as metal? Because I know metal will just cause it to spark and then explode. Sleeves is always frozen in the middle. Box come in clutch when I come home from work and still a few hours until dinner. Yeah, I could see that. A light snack in between. Not as conductive. Oh, I see. No funny joke from the early 70s. That stuff is left over from the Manhattan Project. Oh, I love that. All right, but the question remains. Did I explain it correctly? What do we think? Did I explain it very well? What do y'all think? Oh, 2 fires because it's crazy powerful. Damn. Antarctic lore, you tell me. At a base level, yes. Yeah. We're just trying to get the general gist. I'm not trying to go into specifics because I don't know specifics. That's why we're watching it. Let's talk about cooking through the food itself. Yeah, and with the mic. Oh, is my stream dying? I saw it dip into the yellow. We good? Am I still here? We good? I think we're good. Okay, I think we're good. Hey, May, but I'm on audio. I mean, that's all you really need, right? You just need the audio. All right, so we're saying I did good. I did explain it. Frames, we lost the frames. Not the frame. You lost 119 of them. Those 119 frames are gone forever. Gone but not forgotten. There's some 07s for the 119 frames we lost today. Moment of silence. They'll be remembered. But yeah. I think I'm gonna take the dub on that one. I'm gonna take the dub. All right. What is the next one? How does a DSLR camera work? This is actually one that I know has to do with mirrors, but I don't understand how it actually captures the picture. I've never understood that. This is one that I've always wanted to research. I've absolutely, I don't think I could even give an explanation. I legitimately do not know how cameras work. Like, I don't understand how it captures the... Like, I'm pretty sure, like, the old-timey ones, like, I think it has something to do with, like, a small like, not explosion, but it would... like, the light would reflect off a bunch of mirrors. And it would, like... like, I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, I think we just hop into this one. Yeah, I honestly have no idea how these work. I couldn't give an explanation about how a DSLR works. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Yeah, that's it. Boy. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I could give an explanation about this even if I tried. So I think we're just gonna skip the prediction on this one. And yeah, just go right into it.
It's estimated that 1.4 trillion photos have been taken in 2020. From tiny cameras on the back of smartphones to DSLRs, cameras are all around us. But how do they work?
Sorry. This video is by Animations Explained. Nice. I like that intro.
To understand how a camera takes a photo, let's first understand what a photo is. A photo is a snapshot of time where the infinite amount of light sources that bounce off objects and enter the camera are recorded. If we were to magnify one single light ray coming from the studio light, we would see it hit the object and then scatter in every direction. We will refer to this single point as a point source. The point source gives off so many light rays that it's more realistic to think of the scattered light taking the shape of a cone. Keep in mind that although light is scattered everywhere, we will only be focusing on the light that enters the camera. Let's now look at three fundamental components within the camera that aid in converting these light rays into a photo. These are the aperture, the shutter, and the sensor. Let's first look at the aperture, which is found inside the lens. The lens has discs called lenses that refract the light rays entering the camera to focus them into a focal point. The aperture in a DSLR is a spiraled assembly of tiny leaves that open and close together. The amount that the aperture is open is referred to as stops. If the aperture is nearly closed, this is a high f-stop. If the aperture is open, this is a low f-stop.
I remember learning about f-stops in my photography class in high school.
The aperture has two functions in a lens. Its first function is to limit the overall amount of light that can pass through the lens into the camera to lighten or darken a photo. Secondly, it's used to reduce the depth of field. The depth of field is the width of the plane that is in focus in your shot. For example, if we adjust the aperture to 1.4, only the wine opener is in focus, and the bottle and corks are blurry. Let's look at a demonstration of why this is. For this demonstration, we will have the sensor, which reads the light that hits it, the aperture, the lens, which bends light rays into a focal point, and our subject. First starting with the bottle opener. The light rays emerge from a single point and hit the lens, where they are refracted into a focal point that you can see here. The position of the focal point is dependent on the distance between the object and the lens. Remember, an object in perfect focus in a photo is defined by its many point sources refracted into a single point when it hits the sensor. The larger the cone of light is on the sensor, the less the object will be in focus. Let's study a point source from the wine bottle that is not in focus to see why. Notice, our object is now further from the sensor, so our focal point will be as well. As the light rays propagate past their focal point, they diverge and grow out of focus. The sensor will read a point source from this distance as a large magnified blur. The larger the cone of light is on the sensor, the more out of focus it will be. Similarly, any point source from the cork will not converge on the sensor. The cork's light rays will be read by the sensor even before they converge into their focal point, which would be behind the sensor. every point source on the cork
would
is
also be
therefore
blurry.
out of focus. Let's close the
Gotcha.
aperture to f22 and see how this affects our photo. Everything is now in focus, but why? Let's take
Because it
our same
narrows the
3
focal
point
point?
sources and see
Or
why.
narrows the cone.
As our first point source emerges from the opener and passes the lens, it again begins to converge into its focal point. The aperture, being very narrow, cuts off a lot of its rays, but the point source still converges into its focal point, which is still on our sensor. Let's now take a point source from the bottom
Makes sense.
that was
Makes sense.
not in focus with the wide open aperture. Again, the light emerges from the point source and hits the aperture. The aperture blocks most of the light except for the very center. Although these rays will once again converge into a focal point before the sensor, look how gradual these rays are propagating. As the rays pass the focal point and hit the sensor, they are acceptably in focus. The same is true for the cork, as the aperture blocks most of the rays. Although they are once again red before they converge into the focal point, they are concentrated enough to be considered in focus. This therefore expands our depth of field. Let's put the lens back together and follow the path of light into the camera. After the lens, we have the mirror box and a few other key components. This is the heart of a DSLR.
My brain does not like this one. Yeah, I'm actually understanding this one.
The mirror and the shutter.
I wish I had watched this. I wish they had shown a video like, and this is only 8.5 minutes, by the way, and we're already 5 minutes in. There's only 3.5 minutes left. I wish they'd shown a video like this when I was in high school in my photography class, because the way the teacher explained it did not make sense to me at all. This is kind of making sense to me.
Shutter. Behind the mirror box, we have the image sensor, and the pentaprism sits on top. When light enters the mirror box, it's reflected off the main mirror and into the pentaprism. This is the sole purpose of the mirror. When the light enters the pentaprism, it is reflected into the viewfinder, thus allowing the photographer to view down the lens to align the camera for a photo. If we begin the sequence of taking a photo, the mirror flips up and no longer reflects the light rays. The light rays then hit the shutter box. The shutter box is made of 2 curtains, each made up of multiple leaves. When a photo is being taken, the lower curtain drops, letting light through to the sensor. Once the sensor has been exposed for the desired time, the top curtain closes over the sensor, blocking out light once again. The duration that the sensor is exposed to light is referred to as the shutter speed. The shutter speed can range from multiple seconds by just staying open like this, to 1,000ths of a second by working together like this. Notice the use of 2 curtains allows every part of the sensor to be exposed to light for the same amount of time. Here's a demonstration of the mirror and the shutter working together to take a photo. The mirror flips out of the way, the shutter opens, and then closes. Now that our sensor has been exposed to light, let's take a closer look to understand how it captures the light to later be turned into a photo. The sensor is made up of millions of pixels. A 16-megapixel camera has 16 million pixels, for example. Each individual pixel is so small that if the entire sensor was the size of a
that hurts my
football
head
field,
looking at. Holy shit.
a single pixel would be the size of a penny. Let's look at a small single portion of the sensor up close to understand how it works. The sensor is made up of 3 main layers. The
My
micro
eyes
lens,
right, same.
the color filter, and the photodiode. If we look at one single pixel, we can see how the 3 layers work. The basic concept within one single pixel is this. As the light rays, or photons, the little colored balls, from the object reach the pixel, the micro lens focuses them to a narrow path. Then, depending on the pixel's filter color, all photons that are not the filter color will be absorbed. You can see how this pixel, being red, only allows the red photons through onto the photodiode. The red photons for this pixel then hit the photodiode, which converts the photons into electricity and stores the charge of electrons. The more photons that hit the diode,
Okay, now it's lost me.
the greater the
I'm
electric
so
charge will
confused
be.
now. I don't understand it.
Each pixel also has an amplifier.
What the
which
fuck?
takes
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm
built-up
saying.
charge and increases it. This amplification process is referred to as the ISO. The camera's processor will later read the charge to create the strength of that single pixel. Now that all the pixels have a charge to them, the camera begins to read the sensor row by row, sending the charges down the sensor and out to the CPU for processing. That's the basic mechanics behind a DSLR. If you enjoyed this animation,
okay, I am still very confused. I understood the first part, but the second part, nope. Nope. Regurgitated, I think, but I have no fucking clue what it all means. Basic. Yeah, I still don't understand how it captures the picture. I don't get it. I'll have to watch another video about that, I think. Yeah, the first part made sense. First part made sense to me. The focal point moving, and if it's not hitting the sensor, like the focal point isn't on the sensor, then it's not in focus. That makes sense to me. The rest of it, nope. That's that one completely over my head. Yeah, I think we'll watch one more, and then I think we'll call it, and I'll save these other ones for another time. Induction. Let's see here. We have induction stove, solar panels. How a dam. I actually kind of want to watch this how a dam generates electricity one. X-rays. No, we're not watching the batteries one. That's 20 minutes. How glasses work to correct vision. I kind of want to watch the dam one. I want to see how dams work. Okay, so how I think a dam works. See, I don't properly understand how electricity is generated. To do a research project on hydropower? Oh, then we have an expert. We have an expert in chat. Dams are super cool, right? Some ways to do shit, but they all have similar underlying principles. Now, I've always understood how a dam works. Is the water flows over, like the water like pushes a big giant like turbine fan thingy, and then that spinning thing generates See, I don't understand how electricity is generated, so I don't really have a good explanation for this, because I don't understand how electricity is generated. That's something that I've never understood. Like, how does something spinning generate electricity? That's never made sense to me. Yeah, I assume the water pushes something, and it makes it spin, and yeah, it generates electricity. That's my guess. Would give the lore. We'll watch the video, and then if it doesn't explain it in the video, then I would love for you to give me the lore. But yeah, I think this will be the last one of the night. There we go. There's the prediction. I think this will be the last one, because I did want this to be a bit of a shorter stream, just because I do plan on editing this into a YouTube video, and I don't want the video to be like an hour long. So yeah, I wanted to do 3 hours at the most. Yeah, put your predictions in. Did Bob explain it very well? I probably didn't. Yeah, without further ado. Oh, the video is by Interesting Engineering. Nice. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Last video.
Shape the world around us. They reimagine vast landscapes by repurposing rivers, and they provide energy to millions of homes across the globe. These monolithic civil engineering wonders.
I think this looks really fucking cool. I've always thought dams looked really cool.
They are a vital source of electricity. Globally, 16% of the world's electricity is produced through hydroelectric power plants, most of which are located inside, on, or near to dams. At first glance,
these things especially, where they just shoot the water out like super, super far. Like, if you stood in front of one of these, you would just be, you'd be toast. It would be over. It would be over. But yeah, I've always thought these things looked really cool.
Don't appear to have any energy producing power. To the casual onlooker, they're just large concrete or earthen structures that keep water from flooding areas downstream. However, dams, and more specifically hydroelectric power plants, take advantage of one of Earth's most abundant resources, gravity. Hydroelectric power plants harness the potential energy created by the water that the dam holds back. They capture the energy of the water as it falls from high up behind a dam. This is done through the use of turbine generators, which harness this kinetic energy and transform it into mechanical energy. This mechanical energy is then converted into electrical energy with incredible efficiency. Modern hydropower plants can convert energy from water held by a dam into electricity with up to 95% efficiency. Contrasted to the best fossil fuel power plants, which operate around 50% efficiency. Dams and their accompanying hydroelectric plants can range in size from a few feet high, used to power a few homes, to several hundred feet, like the Three Gorges Dam in China that can power entire cities. Now let's learn a little bit more about how these power plants work. Modern hydroelectric plants include 4 main components. 1. The dam. Dams are used to create potential energy in water, allowing it to build up in great quantities at elevation. Dams are also a way for power plants to store energy and control flow. 2. The turbine. The turbine is the mechanical component that transforms the flow of water through a dam into mechanical energy. Turbines are like windmills, except the forces that spin them come from water.
Okay, so they do spin things.
3. The generator. The generator takes the mechanical spinning energy from the turbine and uses it to generate electricity. Generators in hydropower plants work exactly the same as generators used in other situations. 4. The power transmission lines. These
welcome in, Jojo. How we doing?
Dam and power plant, all the way
we're learning
to the
about how dams work,
other places that need
how they make electricity.
Now, let's start thinking about how much energy a dam can make. The ability of a dam to produce a given amount of electricity depends on a few factors. How far the water has to fall, how much water is falling, and the efficiency of...
What are we doing? So basically, I will say this again. I've said this to everyone that came in and asked what we're doing. I remember this quote from a couple years ago that I read somewhere. It was basically less than 1% of the population, of modern day population, if they were like sent back in time, like medieval era, would be able to make any sort of technological difference, because 99% of the modern population does not know how like everyday items work. Like they just don't know how things work, how things are made, stuff like that. So that is what we're learning today. We're taking a whole bunch of just different, like mostly household things. This is like one of the few that isn't a household item. And we are learning how they work. We're learning how things work. So basically, we started off with a furnace, then water heater, Wi-Fi and cell phones, car engine, a tumbler lock, pin tumbler lock, combination lock, smoke detectors, dishwasher, microwave, DSLR camera, and now we're watching how dams produce electricity. So that is yeah. This is the last video we're doing, by the way. We're ending stream after this video. But yeah, we're learning how dams produce electricity.
Of the turbines and generators. These 3 factors are significant when determining the output of a given dam. For example, the farther that water falls through a dam, the more power it has. Gravity acts on the water at the top with an acceleration of 9.81 meters per second squared. The further it has to fall, the faster the water moves when it hits the turbine. The power that water can produce is directly proportional to the height that it falls. Simply put, a 100-foot dam has twice as much energy producing capability.
You want to watch Dr. Stone, right?
Dam. The amount of water falling also has a big impact on the energy producing capability of a dam. While the height the water falls at a given moment impacts how much power it can produce, the amount of water falling at that height impacts how much power is actually produced. The amount of water is often not something humans can control, though, as it is dependent upon how much water is flowing into the lake the dam holds back. Dams and hydroelectric power plants can adjust flow to the turbines, but at the end of the day, they only have as much water to power the plant with as is held in the dam. If dam and hydroelectric power plant operators ever want to speed up or slow down how much electricity they are producing, they can change the flow rate of water they're letting through. In this way, engineers often think of dams as physical batteries. Storing a given amount of water in a dam is essentially creating a battery of water that can be used to generate electricity later on. Lastly, the energy-producing capabilities of dams depend on how efficient their turbines and generators can be. Given that hydroelectric power plants have a roughly 90% efficiency, these power plants are some of the most efficient out there. Now let's recap the basics. Dams are used to block up rivers and streams to create potential energy with the water by holding it in reservoirs at a higher elevation. The dam is then used to control the flow of that water into a hydroelectric power plant, which are often located inside or right next to the dams themselves. That water flows into the turbine, which is spun by the water. The spinning turbine then turns the generator,
Don't touch it.
which
Don't touch it.
transforms the spinning motion into electrical energy. That electricity is then carried through transmission lines to your house.
Interesting. Also, I just realized I didn't full screen any of the other videos we were watching. Oops. My bad. Yeah. Dams. Oh. A little surprised they didn't go into any details at all as to how the generators actually work. Yeah, I still don't understand how. Okay, so Pixel, give me, or Caesar, give me the lore. Give me the lore. How spin turned electricity into burr. Pixel lore time. We love pixel lore time. Damn close to us. Grandparents live on the lake. Hell yeah. I have a couple dams near me. Electricity is electrons moving between atoms. Okay. And yeah, I just gave Echo treats. Thank you, Jojo. Arigato. Learning the lore. Guess we can also swap over to just chatting. Nice. Magnet's force polarity has electrons. Which has electrons all move in one direction when it spins real fast. Okay. I see. Such a treat time 2 at the gas station because Culver's is too crowded. Is that time? Is that time of the night? Well, I guess not really. So they take a conductive metal like copper, which lets go of electrons easily. Surround a magnet with it. But as you spin it, the copper loses electrons. When the magnet spins, the electrons are forced forward all at once continuously. And that produces electricity? I assume it has to spin really fucking quick, though. Electrons move from one copper atom to... Oh, I thought you were going to say they move from the copper to something else. I'm like... I was about to say something really fucking dumb. Like, what happens when the copper runs out of electrons? That's not how that works! Oh boy. Oh, I know. I did not do well in a chemistry? Is that what that is? Not or is it chemistry? Remember about like the periodic table and shit. Science teacher to make kids do this in physical science since this is in his standards. Hell yeah. Electricity is the movement of electrons. Where's Ultron? Where's Ultron fit into all of this? That's actually a concern? So I wasn't being entirely dumb. Science mixed with chem. Ah. I'm trying to think of like what class it was where you learn about like protons, neutrons, electrons, all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure it's chemistry. C versus DC, alternating versus direct current. The whole thing on electrical safety. Physics? Yeah, I guess that would make sense. I'm just trying to remember back to high school, but like, 'cause I had a physics class that I learned absolutely nothing in because the teacher sucked. And then I had a chemistry. The first half of my chemistry class I liked because I really liked the teacher. Second half of chemistry, I didn't get because the teacher sucked. Basically, for all the electrons to move / much electricity, they need to make a loop. Basics, electricity, waves, magnets, periodic table stuff. Interesting. Maybe next time we'll have to watch a video on how electricity works. Six is eighth is grade 8. That just makes me feel dumb. The fact that I was supposed to learn that in 8th grade, which I most definitely did not. I was learning earth science in 8th grade. Ways they don't go. Which is why a power line is dangerous to touch. If you touch it, you close the loop with your body. All that electricity goes into you and you go poof. The tech ed specifically in some districts. I think I had tech ed. I'd leave my house that one time. Wait, what? Video suggestions. So after this stream, which is ending basically now, I'm gonna put a thread in the suggestions channel in the Discord, specifically for things that we want to learn about, and then I will put together. I'll find videos, put together lists, and then we'll do this again. I want to do this like once a month. Kind of thing. Once a month, once every other month. So not super often, but yeah. I see that the power lines go. Oh, I do remember you telling me about that. Yeah. I would assume if the power lines get ripped off, like if they have a way of like shutting them off, don't they? Like they wouldn't just be loose cables, right? I mean, initially they would be, but over time, like after they know about the problem, I imagine they'd be able to turn them off. Right? I don't know how that works. But yeah, so after the stream, I'll put together that thread, and anyone can go in there and comment things they want to learn about. And I will pick through some of them, and I'll put together another list. Honestly, I thought I would run out of like videos before 2 or 3 hours, but I ended up yapping a lot. So we didn't even make it through the entire list I had put together. So, yeah. I had to leave before my father got in touch with the power company. Oh, I see. On rubber-soled shoes and hope for the best. Did you feel all tingly? I shut it off about a pole or 2 down, but not on the plant. Yeah. If they shut it off at the plant, it would cut off everyone's power on that entire line, which that wouldn't really work. Tons of things we could watch. Yeah, mostly I want it to be either. So the next one I do, will either be how things are built, like how things are like actually made or produced, or how things in nature work. I'm thinking one of those two. But yeah, if you just have like, how do speakers work, or how does a microphone work, or how do water pipes work, or how is glass made, or some shit like that, then yeah, you can give me an idea, and I will find videos for it next time we do one of these, if it matches the theme that I'm going for. If there's a lot of them, I won't be able to get to all of them probably. Yeah, I will handpick some of the ones that I am also interested in. So there's some in nature videos. Hell yeah. Are we gonna share a post in media or school about power? Go for it. But yeah, I think that's about it. How did we like it? Did we enjoy it? Did we enjoy the stream idea? I was worried that it would be super boring and everyone would hate it and be like, why are we doing this? And no one would watch. But I'm glad that people seemed entertained by it. You're to nerd out some shit, man. Hell yeah. Informative, I enjoyed it. Let's go. Glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna learn more, please. Don't worry. Like I said, this is gonna be a series I'm gonna do, because I want to turn these into YouTube videos and post them on my YouTube channel. So that's kind of the idea. So I'm gonna try to get it edited together and posted at some point. I desperately need to do more video editing, man. I need to do more video editing. Ah! But it's fine. I'll get to it eventually. Let's see here. Who are we raiding? Wanting to raid. We've got Dovely. I know, Echo. No, we'll go on a second, okay, buddy? I think we'll raid into Dovely. Like they're playing some story game. Hatoful Boyfriend. I don't know what that is, but sure. We'll go with it. I don't know what it is, but that's the pigeon dating sim? You know, that checks out for it being Dovely that's doing it. But yeah, we're gonna raid into Dovely. They're one of my VTube siblings. Before I post, can I send it to you? To see if it doxes anywhere other than the state. I'm about to play that. I will probably not be playing it, unfortunately. The Dove VTuber saying so. I know, right? That's it. All right. But yeah, we're gonna raid into Dovely. Let's see here. I know. Shit. Let's see, what are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow we're doing, sure, say Wednesday? Yes, we're doing Project Zomboid with Caesar. Doing Project Zomboid with Caesar tomorrow. Let's see, F-Raid, S-Raid. There we go. All right, but yeah, we're doing Project Zomboid tomorrow. That's gonna be at our normal Tuesday time. So that's at 4 p.m. Mountain, which would be 6 p.m. EST. And then after that, we're gonna be restarting Dying Light again, which I'm super excited for. I love Dying Light. It's one of my favorite series of all time. And then on Sunday we're doing our usual mystery case files. So yeah, look forward to that. I don't think I had anything else to announce. So yeah, hope to see everybody tomorrow. Bye.